When I was a kid, I was very paranoid that maybe everybody in the entire world was secretly a dragon except for me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be a dragon, so I was like, man, it would suck if everybody in the entire world was secretly a dragon except for me, and they keep it a secret from me.
Yeah, I hate when my brain just comes up with things to make me sad.
Like the Truman Show, but everyone's a dragon instead of an actor.
That's such a random, like, specific circumstance.
When I was a kid, I actually got, like, sad about it, because I was, like, pretty sure, like, man...
You were like, there's like a 60% chance.
Exactly. I was like, there's like an okay chance that that's true, actually. This is why it was really easy to convince me that the Yeerks were real.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, we're here on an Animorphs Book Club podcast about to discuss book number 31, The Conspiracy.
That everyone else in the world is secretly a dragon and Jake doesn't know.
Yeah, that's what this book is about.
Yeah, it is what it's about.
Anyway, let's introduce ourselves.
I'm Be Natural.
I'm Better.
I'm Mustard. Mm-hmm. What?
Are
you eating something?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Stir, are you gonna have a freaking orange slice in your mouth for the next 3 hours?
Wait, you're eating an orange slice? No!
And you're just not gonna talk?
Okay, for context, we're recording just an unrelated thing where we're just reviewing snacks.
What? No, we weren't.
What?
Yeah, we were.
Yes, what are you talking about?
When were we
And
doing
he
that?
wouldn't eat it because he had an orange slice in his mouth.
Anyway, so we're...
When did
We
that
were
happen?
on the walk.
So we're recording
We were
this.
Like a
last
week ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you made it sound like it was just now.
No, this is context for why we're angry at him again.
Okay.
And I was like, Stir, what do you think of this snack? We're eating like nerds or something. And he was like, I don't know, I have an orange slice in my mouth. And then like 20 minutes later, he still had this orange slice in his mouth. And he was like, sorry, I can't eat that yet. I still have this orange slice in my mouth. I was like, dude, swallow it.
Swallow.
By orange slice, I mean like those candies. Those like candies that are like shaped like orange
He
slices.
didn't actually suck on an actual orange slice.
So like
for an
gummies,
hour.
kind of.
Knowing him, he would.
Okay, are we talking about the cover first or summarizing the book? I'm excited to hear the summary because I don't remember most of this book.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wait, thumbs it up anyway.
Yeah.
Mustard has low standards.
I do.
Famously.
Here,
No.
we can start with the summary.
I mean, no, if you look at like the ratings for like all the early books, like, you know, even the ones where I'm like, half of this was good, I like gave it a thumbs up.
The cover of
that's
this book.
That's the definition of a meh, dude.
No.
Half good, half bad.
No, a good is like, I read it and I was like, what a good experience. Stop smacking
now
your
he's
lips.
making noises.
A good book to me is I was like, I'm glad I read the book. That was a good experience. Where meh is where I see nothing, it was mostly boring. And then down is like, this was entirely boring and I wish I didn't read this. Turn down your Discord pings.
Sorry.
I heard that from like 3 people's laptops.
Cover
So.
of this book.
Anyway, let's start talking about this cover. We have lots of thoughts about it. We haven't said any yet. He morphs into a hawk.
Mustard, like
it's a
before we read
peregrine
this
falcon.
book, one of you guys was like, "This is the funniest or like the worst cover ever."
It is.
He looks extreme. He looks weirdly flat. I always thought he looked like he was made of paper in this cover.
Okay, I think part of it.
Yeah, he does. He looks like a cardboard cutout.
Like, hang on, let me look at like
over.
let me look at like book 3. Like the book 3 cover, Tobias morphing into a hawk.
Also,
that looks cool. This Jake morphing into a hawk looks stupid. His legs are just dangling. His 3rd and 4th morph, the legs are just the same but shrunk a little bit, and it looks so awkward. I hate
that's why he
this
looks
cover.
flat.
Listen, morphing is not always pretty, Mustard.
Well, morphing, that is in the books, the text of the books. The book covers
is
do
this
not.
freaking overlapping his leg in the 3rd morph?
Yeah, the overlap between the 3rd and the 4th is kind of weird.
The overlap is driving me nuts.
Like
Everything looks
he has,
bad.
and it looks like his tail is like. Where is it? Is he like
His shirt.
sticking his arm up into the 4th morph's like butt area?
shirt
He's
is like
like
becoming
sticking his
his
arm
tail.
between the tail
It's
and
all
the
awkward.
The tail and
legs.
the legs of the 4th morph.
He's copping a feel.
Why wasn't this book the one where, like, the cockroach on the cover? Because I feel like cockroaches were more unique to this book. Maybe not. I remember the cockroach scene in this book more than the previous
I don't
one.
understand who makes the decisions for what's on the cover of these books. But also,
Well, by the way, what kind of bird is this? Do you know?
a peregrine falcon.
That's
Okay.
Jake's
Mustard.
bird
It's
morph,
only been said
Mustard.
about 60
I don't
times.
remember bird names. All birds are the same. You know this about
It's
me.
only been said about 60 times in this series.
He's the only one who has a peregrine falcon?
Even the falcon itself looks weird. It's like they just took... Yeah, okay. They just
The legs look weird on it. They look like the
they
same
do.
legs.
They don't look like that's how a falcon would fly.
No.
They like, this is like a photo of a falcon. They just like
And
took
they
a photo.
photoshopped like Jake's legs onto it.
Yeah.
It turned into a bird.
They did. They just like took a photo and then they removed the natural looking legs.
Now for the... Sorry.
Or they found the most awkward photo of a peregrine falcon in the world, and that falcon is so embarrassed that its image is in that embarrassing position.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this is a real falcon morph, I want to apologize to that falcon for insulting how his legs look, but they don't look right.
I just hate how the overlapping works. That's what drives me crazy.
Well, yeah, it's like usually the morph thing goes in one direction. This is like a weird swoop. It's and the overlapping it's not David Mattingly.
So like the fourth one's legs are overlapping the third one, but the third one's head is overlapping the fourth one, and the fifth one is completely overlapping the fourth one.
Well, yeah, because I guess they couldn't cover his face and they didn't have room. It's just bad composition. Ridiculous. You should have planned ahead better. Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of like how his wing is like blocking out the sun, causing light rays to come out.
Yeah, like the hawk. Okay, like if you only look at like the top, like half of this, like starting at like the second Jake's nose, you like draw a line there and cut it off. It's a good looking cover, and then you look at the bottom half, and it's like, what is this garbage?
So if you just completely like leave the third one submerged, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and cut off like the bottom of the hawk's legs and like most of the second Jake, like it's that wing with blocking the sun. It does. It looks beautiful. It's a nice, elegant wing. You know, look at that plumage. If only we could see him take wing.
Do you guys like the inside cover?
I don't. It looks like a PS2 game or something.
It looks like a PS1 game, yeah.
Yeah, it's if we had one that looks this like blatantly
this book.
like 2000 CGI before, I feel like most of them were like not this.
They don't usually have people in them.
No, and like the buildings look very like CGI as well. It's
my favorite coffee store. Coffee.
This is when Marco is destroying the cars out front.
Yeah,
I guess so. I don't.
It's not what they're in the parking lot, not parked on the street. What the heck?
Didn't Marco destroy the cars and then run away before anyone came out?
He ran away before anyone came out.
There's a guy in that car too.
I do like this inside cover. I think it's very pleasant to look at.
I think it's funny that all these people are just standing on there. Because I assume they're just walking by and then they're like, oh my gosh, look, a bird. I didn't even see Marco at first. That does not look like a gorilla at all. It looks like a guy wearing a gorilla morph suit.
Don't silverback gorillas have silverbacks?
I don't know gorillas. All pedigree falcon, pedigree gorilla, same thing to me.
Okay. Mustard, do you want to talk about your rating for this book?
I think we should do the summary first. I think so we understand why we're rating.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because these ratings are very relevant to the plot of the book.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to the summary because I don't remember like half of this book. Hang on, let me sit down first and stop jiggling around. I haven't edited this
since I wrote it, so hopefully I don't make any mistakes. Alright, Jake finds out his great-grandpa on his mother's side, Grandpa G, just died, so his family are planning on taking a 4-day trip to his house for the funeral. Tom realizes he can't go because he'll be too far away from the Yeerk pool for too long, so he argues with Jake's dad about staying home. But Jake's dad won't let him. Tom convinces Jake's dad to come to an emergency sharing meeting to discuss the situation, since Tom's excuse was that he'd be busy with the sharing over the weekend. With Eric King's help, Jake and Marco find out where the meeting is and go to stop it. Jake wants to bust up the place with their battle morph, but Marco reasons that would be too suspicious. Instead, Marco morphs Gorilla and messes up a lot of people's cars, escaping before they can see him. Jake's dad is safe for now, but Jake must now keep constant surveillance over him to make sure the Yeerks don't jump him. He turns into a cockroach and hides in his dad's pant leg, nearly dying in a run-in with a dropped jam jar. When Jake's dad goes out to the parking garage after work, an angry guy with a beard looks like he's going to attack him, and Jake freezes up, not sure how to protect him. Jake ends up crawling on the guy's beard to distract him, but his reaction time was too late. Tobias had to swoop in and attack the bearded guy, which would have blown their cover. But luckily the guy wasn't a controller after all. Later on, the Yeerks attempt to drive by to murder Jake's dad in his backyard, but Jake saves him just in time, having to morph in broad daylight on a roof to do so. A rift forms between Jake and the other Animorphs where they think he's too wrapped up in the case to act effectively, and consider just letting Jake's dad die or get infested. Then Jake gets the idea of kidnapping Mr. Chapman in order to distract the Yeerks from saving Tom. The Animorphs go to Chapman's house and battle morph and chase him, making sure to cover Melissa's eyes so she doesn't see, although Jake feels bad about traumatizing her over this. Marco gets shot and Jake almost tramples Chapman, but they get him into an abandoned house nearby where the Yeerks don't even think to look for some reason. X puts on his arrogant Andalite persona and tortures and bullies Chapman, making sure to leave some broken glass on the ground so Chapman can escape. X gets mad at Jake for making him go against the warrior code to do this. The Yeerks successfully give up on Tom to go find Chapman, and Jake's dad ends up taking them both to Grandpa G's. Jake worries that Tom is going to try to kill their dad, but he lies to the rest of the Animorphs about when they're leaving because he's tired of involving them and just wants to take down Tom himself and get it over with. While in the attic bedroom at Grandpa G's, Jake opens up Grandpa G's footlocker and starts showing Tom Grandpa G's old World War II stuff, telling him about honor and courage and whatnot. Tom finds a dagger Grandpa G stole off a Nazi soldier. They fall asleep, but Jake wakes up to find that Tom has left the room and is talking alone with their dad outside, and he has the dagger with him. Jake quickly morphs Tiger, but all of a sudden the dock Tom and Jake's dad were sitting on breaks from underneath them, and they get swept down the river. Luckily, some dolphins, the other Animorphs and Morph, are there to save them, and Jake ends up pulling Tom out of the water with a broken leg. Tom gets airlifted back to their hometown hospital, meaning his Yeerk gets to survive another day, and basically nothing changes. The end.
Well, a lot happened in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it had all been a pointless battle.
Literally a line from the...
Is that why...
Literally the author was like, at the end, just wrote the line, it was all pointless.
Okay.
It reminded me of like that Sonic game that ends with Knuckles being like, oh, it's over? Oh, it's over. I never want to go through that again.
So as soon as we read these books, we always like give an emoji reaction in our Discord to the book. Stu and I both gave a thumbs up. You guys both gave like a meh.
But Mustard had a special.
When I also have the Grinch with Andalite eye stalks frowning.
For me. I just have the two basic reactions.
And the Grinch with Andalite eye stalks smiling.
Are we the frowning and smiling of that now?
Yes.
Why?
This is okay.
I didn't even know why you added that.
I'm telling you because Be Natural was the last one to read this book. You know.
I didn't read it until noon today.
Yeah. So this morning, Be Natural was like, "Hey Mustard, I had a dream where everyone else finished the book except me. Was that true?" And I was like, "Yes." Everyone reacted with the emojis in the survey. It's true. And then she was like, "Also, you added like emojis of the Grinch smiling and the Grinch frowning, and you reacted to the book with both of them. Was that true?" And I was like, "No, that was a dream. That part was a dream."
Oh, that's so weird.
And then I was like, well, I'm going to add those. So I was like looking at pictures, and she was like, by the way, it was Jim Carrey Grinch. And I was like, why? So then I downloaded a picture of him smiling and frowning. And then she was like, oh, by the way, also I think he had Andalite eye stalks. So add those. So I did. So now we have the emojis in our server of the Grinch. Honestly, the Andalite eye stalks I took from the inside cover of Megamorphs 2, I think.
Oh, so they're real.
Yeah.
They kind of look like they were just drawn.
Yeah, because they look awful on the cover. David Mattingly, I love your artwork. You're bad at drawing Andalites. I'm sorry. The guy who did Andalite Chronicles, that's a beautiful Andalite. You're great at morphing, except this cover's not great. But listen, man, I love you. Thank you for making these covers. Anyway, so that's why I did that. And, you know, I was like, oh, which one should I put first? I guess I should do the smile first because I like the book. But then I was like, no, I should have the frown first and then the smile, because I was frowning in the first half of the book and smiling in the second half of it. So I think it is so. Oh, did we do the opposite?
No, I considered starring this book.
You considered starring this book. This was your favorite book, possibly.
I considered.
I considered
downvoting this book. I was
me
so
too.
mad at the end.
I was just going like the whole time.
The last book also sucked.
I was seriously.
Everyone except me gave it a thumbs up.
Last book was great. This book was like, you gave it a thumbs up, Batter.
Yeah.
This book was like, Laura saw author of last book, and was like, I can do that, and then wrote this book.
Just copy and pasted, like, bro, don't.
Oh, Marco sees this clear line. Okay, I got that now. Thank you.
Bro, can I copy your homework?
Did it better,
just don't make it look.
Yeah, honestly.
I have a lot of thoughts about this book. I'm excited.
I don't have too many thoughts. It's just mostly like, it just seems like, yeah, bro, can I copy your... Oops.
Go shut that off.
Bro, can I copy your homework?
I don't even know if most of my thoughts are even notes. Like, most of my notes are just like my evolving thoughts of this book. Like, hey, that's weird. You know, like, I don't know if I have much to talk about even, except just the annoying things.
Yeah, I just have a lot of annoying things.
Better, in the Scream Chamber, you said something very stupid. What was that referring to?
The ending.
The ending, okay. Why? Because nothing happened?
Wait, I gotta find my phone that was making noise. I want to talk about this.
Let me look at what I highlighted. Yeah, it was everything was back to the way it had been. My brother still lives. So did the enemy inside him. It had all been a pointless battle. No one had wanted it. No one had profited.
Why is that wrong?
I couldn't find my phone, so it might make a noise again.
Some guy who wanted his parking space back, and me.
Why is that bad? I thought that was fine.
Because I was so mad that was how it ended.
Yeah.
I remember.
It really like ground in the gears too of like,
No, Mustard was like, before I read the book, Mustard was like, I don't know why Batter said it was stupid. I don't know what part of the book he was talking about at all. And then I read the book, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's the ending. Like,
man, I didn't even consider that the ending might be stupid.
You didn't?
No.
They spent literally the whole book going like, we can't do anything weird because the Yeerks will notice that we're trying to save Tom and Dad specifically. They'll notice that this family has weird special protections. And then at the end, they just freaking do everything weird, and nobody cares. And it's like, oh, it's all good. Good job, Marco. You, by the way, you see the clear line from A to B.
Well, I didn't really think about it that way. Battle. I remember last episode, when we read like the summary, like the back summary of this book, and it was about Tom and Jake, and you were so excited.
Listen, yes, there's the main reason why I decided to med this is because I was so excited. I had such high hopes for this book, and it did not live up to any of them. Okay, it was a decently written book or whatever. Okay, it had its moments, but it was such a disappointment that I could not like it.
Yeah, very short.
I
was like waiting for this. The thing is I remember the plot.
I was waiting for it to be epic, and it wasn't.
I remember the plot of this book from reading it before. I did not remember the plot of book 30, so I was like blown away and surprised by how good book 30 was. So then I was like, boy, that's really going to recontextualize this book, isn't it? Because I just kind of remembered this book as its own thing. Well, not really, because this book was like the previous book, but worse. And they there was an attempt. They tried to like say that like, you know, oh man, now we're inversing the relationship from the previous book. Isn't that cool? But they didn't really they didn't really pull it off. I don't know. I guess it's a little hard to explain. The prose just wasn't like very compelling. Like with the last book, it just felt like a collection of various character moments, and it wasn't like there wasn't like a through line. There was like, okay, so I looked up the ghostwriter of this book. Same author as 27.
No, I like 27.
That has the same... well, you like this book. Yeah. There's the same problems as 27.
Which
where
is
it's
the
like...
giant squid book with
last book, I said this author did her homework, read through the books, and she came up with a new direction for the characters to go. This author of this book and of 27 thinks doing her homework means reading the books, collecting a list of facts about the Animorphs, and then being like... in her books, hey, remember how I'm Tobias and I don't like the deep sea? Hey, remember how I'm Jake and I'm the leader and I don't like being the leader and I like Tom and the only reason I joined the resistance was because I wanted to save Tom?
No, I forgot about that fact, so I did like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, but there's nothing deeper than that. It's just like, I did my homework, you guys. I remembered 5 facts about each of the Animorphs.
The reason I thumbs up this book is because I thought there were a lot of interesting character moments, personally, like, especially between, like, Jake and Marco.
Yeah, I thought the Jake and Marco stuff was kind of neat. They just had some good Jake and Marco stuff in the last book, so
this is like a whole
it's
Tom
not like
book.
it really blew me away or anything.
Well, no, I thought this was. I like
Tom in this book.
The last book, I think, feel like the Jake and Marco, like the stress on the relationship was like less focused on. Well, like
but it was good. It was short but good. This one just kind of like.
Well, because near the end
it kind of just retread the same thing from the last book, but just did it more and not as good. Like it just kind of didn't explore it. It didn't explore it.
I think it explored it a bunch. The last book didn't explore it.
Yeah, it like gave me a little.
The last book, all it said was like, "Oh, I said sir," and I didn't even interpret that as the relationship being soured. And this one is very clear, like their relationship is being affected by the Animorphs.
It's like
in the previous one, it was like subtext.
Last book was shown.
It wasn't shown because I didn't know that's what's happening. You have to guess about that.
You being stupid does not make the book good.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Last book gave us a little taste, and I was like, woo. And then this book was like, hey, let's explore that more. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Same thing.
There was a lot of copy, paste stuff in this book.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the stupid straight line A-B thing that I complained about in the previous book. Here's the thing. Okay, let me just get into this, because I have so much to say about this. In the previous book, Marco kept repeating over and over again how he can like see the clear line from A to B of what he wants to do, no matter how ruthless he has to be. He has a clear line of his plan he wants to get done, you know? And in that book, repeating that over and over again made sense because Marco was the narrator and he was focused on his plan and he was like, I need to see this plan, and he was reassuring himself, right? In this book, they keep randomly bringing up the fact that Marco can see the line from A to B and he's ruthless and he will do, like, he's like good at planning and stuff. It kept repeating the phrase, like, he can see the line from A to B to his plan. He can do these ruthless plans that we won't do, and that's what he's good at, and he's honest. Why did it keep repeating that in this book for no reason?
This book said Marco can see the clear line more than the last book.
It did!
Even though the last book was about Marco.
In the Scream Chamber?
I mean, this book was kind of about Marco too.
Well, no, I think this book, to me, the reason I thought of this book is because the book was largely, like, I think the true purpose of this book was about Marco and Jake's relationships, at least how I saw it. And I liked that. I didn't like the clear line thing. There was no reason to bring that up, because, like the first time he brought it up, he's like, oh, you know me, Jake, I've worked it all out from this plan. And then in chapter 3, he was like, Marco sees a line that goes from A to B. He's already seen Tom's dilemma, and he's seen Tom's ruthless solution. And then, like, I don't remember if that was a thing from previous Animorphs book. It wasn't explained as well. And then, like, in chapter 16, give Marco credit for one thing. No one is faster at seeing the ruthless solution, and Marco is honest. And then, like, freaking, when I started, like, screaming in my notes, was later when it was like, Marco didn't argue. I guess we have strengths and weaknesses. Marco's strength is the ability to see the way to the goal, even when it means disregarding consequences and feelings and basic right and wrong.
My weakness is that I like Tom, and Tom is in trouble, by the way.
Stop saying, and this is when I wrote in all caps, stop repeating this. We get it. Marco can see the straight line or whatever. Stop telling us that over and over again. Okay. It's not even relevant. And I put that in the Scream Chamber, like when I was writing it, and Being Natural asked me, like, Mustard, why did you put this in here now? Isn't that about the last book? And I was like, no, the reason I'm screaming it is because it's in this book too.
The previous book was like, he had a whole speech about ruthlessness. Then he said the thing about the clear straight line. And then every single time they brought up the clear straight line again in the last book, it was like,
it made sense.
I see it. Oh, it where's the line? It's gone. I see it again. It was like actually because something was happening.
Yeah,
this
it was Marco.
It was hey, did I remind you this chapter yet that Marco can see the clear straight line? In this book, Marco is a brick wall he's like a one-dimensional. Well, he's like a flat character whose purpose he just does stuff and he doesn't have an arc, which I guess is fine, but it's like the fact that they just repeat the straight line, it's almost like it's almost like a parody of the previous book.
Now,
Mustard, you said that you thought Jake and Marco's relationship was developed more.
Yeah.
I honestly kind of feel like the opposite happened in this book. Like, I wanted it to develop more, but it kind of just, like, went back to being how it was before. Like, everyone's mad at Jake, and at the end, they just kind of save his life, and then it's like, okay, and then...
Okay, I don't mean develop more as in something changed at the end. I mean, there were these interesting, like, moments between them, is more what I meant.
Yeah, but I feel like all the moments that interested me were at the beginning.
Beginning?
When they're on the phone, right after Tom takes Jake's dad to the sharing meeting.
I would have to look...
Marco's, like, preventing Jake from freaking calling him on his cell phone and asking him if he's okay.
I would have to look through my notes. That was interesting. I was
like, actually, like, Marco.
This is another book where I feel like the events are interesting, but the writing just wasn't up to snuff.
Like, okay, like, in the end, it's like, oh, I didn't laugh. I didn't find Marco funny right then. I missed it. Like, I don't remember Jake ever being like, oh, Marco made a joke, and I was not impressed. Like, usually, like, Marco's jokes are something that helps the team out. And then, like, in this book, it's like, wow, he doesn't think Marco's jokes are funny. Like,
it's just, like, I think it's just this author's, like, I guess, weakness or style, which is a bad style, of just, like, throwing Animorphs-isms at the wall, and they don't, like, tie them together into, like, any cohesive theme.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that stuff didn't happen. It just wasn't memorable enough for me to remember it.
Like,
if you're going to quote things at me, like, I'm not going to say that didn't happen.
There's definitely a lot of unmemorable stuff in this book. It didn't stand out
to me at all.
Like, you were reading a summary, and I was like, wow, that sure is a list of things that happened in this book, you know? Like, I agree. It's like, it's not a really cohesive plot, I feel like. It's so much...
Too much time is wasted on the Animorphs Animorphing and not enough with Tom.
Honestly, I like to think of the ghostwritten books as fan fictions, just because it's interesting to think of, like, these books as written by, like, not people who wrote the original, you know, story, and are...
well, I think it is outlines from Capelgate,
well, yeah,
right?
but it's interesting to think of them as, like, people, I just like to think about them in the context of this is a person writing this book who hasn't written, like, most of the series at all. They've only written, like, one other Animorph story, pretty much. And, like, in the last book was, like, I guess I'm going to compare this book to the last book a lot because it's begging to be compared. It's basically a sequel to the last book.
The plot is very similar with, instead of Marco's mom being in control, now it's about Jake's mom being in control.
Jake's dad.
Jake's brother. And
Jake's brother.
and Jake has to figure out if he has to murder his brother, like in the previous book. Like, it was so similar. I was like, if at the end of this book, Rachel comes up and says, "Oh, by the way, Jake, I think I saw your brother hide in a submarine last minute," I'm gonna be so mad. That didn't happen. Yeah, I wouldn't have disliked it. I would have mad it probably.
Next book.
That would have been a stupid ending, I
Next
think.
book, Rachel's little sister Jordan.
It's better not be. I want to say, do you guys remember Mark being able to find the line from A to B? And, like, do you remember that being a part of his character before the previous book?
No, but it
remember
felt
him being
organically
ruthless.
like
Yeah.
a thing that he could come up with.
Yeah,
in the previous
'cause
book.
I wanna
And now
say-
it's all of a sudden that's his entire character.
Because I actually searched through the previous books, and in book 19,
Of course, book 19.
It said,
was thinking ahead.
Marco is one of those people who jumps right to the conclusion without a lot of wondering and guessing. You could say he's smart or efficient, or you could say he's ruthless. He's not mean or cruel. He gets from point A to Z faster than most people. I don't know what the context of that was. So, like, that was in like book 19 a while ago. So they took this one thing and just made the entire book about, like, Cavalgate probably has a note somewhere in, like, the Animorphs Bible or whatever that's like, oh,
Yeah.
Marco does this. But she doesn't keep repeating it and make the entire book about that one aspect of his character. Like, you should use that as a plot point and, like, use that to determine his decisions, not tell us about it every sentence.
Book 19 is the book that Capelgate spent 2 years writing and then spent 1 second writing every other book.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense.
Yeah.
So, I think that's all I have to say about that annoying through line. But that was really, honestly, that's my main thought about this book, is I was annoyed by that one thing, honestly.
Okay, so book 30, that was like when you read a fan fiction and where it's clear that the author is a huge fan of the work, and they thought of it, they had got inspired to write some story. I mean, whether or not Capelgate's the one writing the outlines, I mean, like, this is the vibe it gets, right? Where it's like, either way, like, either of these books could have been great given the outline. It's just about, like, what direction they took it in, emotionally and prose wise. Book 30 was like when you read a fan fiction by somebody who's inspired by a work and builds off the story in a new direction that the work hasn't really done before. And then this book was like when you read a fan fiction and it's just somebody playing the greatest hits of every part of the previous works that they liked.
Well, I feel like
That's a good comparison.
wasn't the previous one kind of like that too, where it's like, oh, this is the same plot as book 15, and it also has a bunch of elements, or is that...
No.
I might be confusing with Animorphs also.
No. Okay. Plot-wise, sort of similar to book 15,
Mm-hmm.
but
character-wise, totally different.
yeah, like in terms of like, and that's what I mean when I said like the outline isn't really relevant here, because like either of these books could have been.
They could have definitely just made a carbon copy of book 15 with the last book, but no, the author really went above and beyond.
Yeah. And this, like, and there were several, like, times I just wrote down, like, writing in this book that just was like, what? Why did you, like, it just seemed like bad writing or rushed writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down several of those. Most of them were in the early chapters, because in the late chapters I was just not writing anything down, because there was nothing really...
Man, I'm the opposite. The early chapters I have no notes, and my late chapters I have it, like, a bunch of stuff that I copied down.
No, I
Most
thought
of
the early
us-
parts were interesting, and then it slowed down towards the middle, and then it kind of picked up and then stumbled at the end.
Most of us learned to fight the hard way in a deadly, on-the-job training type deal, but some of us had a head start, like my cousin Rachel, who loves it all. And X.
Since when?
How does Rachel happen
It's something she discovered through learning to fight.
Yeah.
She didn't like fighting before she was a gymnast.
Right, like how does Rachel,
A
what happened,
non-contact sport.
turns out, in retrospect, likes fighting? How does that mean she has a head start? Like, that's just like, why did you write that? That's weird. It's like, I mean, I'm making it sound like it's problematic. It's just like bad writing to me. Like, it's like...
Like, it's not true.
The author doesn't understand how this works. The author perhaps didn't read all the books.
It's just like, what's a phrase I can put in a sentence? She has a head start.
Alright.
It doesn't have to be written the way that is true.
The book doesn't have to be right.
Sure.
Oh, it's just writing.
One thing
I
that
guess
kind
none
of
of this
bothered
is
me about, I think this starts in the, okay, so Jake mentions his Grandpa G in the first chapter being like, oh, let me just bring up this random dude.
That's what they do in every book.
I think that's fine, because
it was felt more egregious in this book.
nothing...
Wait, wasn't it because he died?
Nah, I think that's fine, because this book...
No, he randomly starts talking
The
about
last
Grandpa
book
G
was
and
literally
something that
like,
he talked
oh,
about.
my mom.
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
then,
honestly,
guess
this
what?
book
My
was...
mom
We
shows
already
up.
knew that Marco's mom existed before the beginning of the
Well,
last
honestly-
book.
Yeah, but he just randomly whines
Yes,
about
it
her.
makes sense that he
He
dreams
whines
about her
about
from
her
time
in
to
every
time
book.
because she's been dead.
No, I'm
it
with
fits
her.
her life, his daily life. Who is this Grandpa G guy? I don't know. Jake has never talked about him before. Do I believe that Jake was randomly thinking about him on the day that he died? No, that's stupid. Jake doesn't
No,
have
hold
ESP.
on. I'm with Stir on this one. The last book's beginning was really weird and coincidental and
I don't
rushed.
think
I'm
so.
willing to forgive it because the rest of the book was great.
I think
But
they're all
no,
alive.
I
I
honestly
like
think
that.
this book beats the last one in terms of like the bringing up the character who's going to be relevant because like the first, I don't even think anything happens in the first chapter. It's just Jake talking, so it's like you could just see this as Jake is reminiscing after the events of this book, and he brings up his Grandpa G because that's what the book is going to be about because he knows.
No, it felt clumsy to me. It felt like you were supposed to like be like, oh my gosh, Grandpa G, I know that guy. And by chapter 2.
I didn't feel that way personally.
Well, okay.
Although I wasn't, I happened to Pikachu know to be natural and like, just like randomly when you're reading, I read like in for the previous book where it was like, oh, of course the woman with the suitcase is his mom. Come on.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
way
it'd be
worse.
yeah.
That was way worse. Well, like, yeah, because in that part, Marco was like, who is this woman with the suitcase? There was like a whole part where you're supposed to not know. And this one, it's just like, he's brought up in one sentence. You're like,
okay,
who's that guy?
Here, let me say another thing, too. In this scene, so Jake comes home and he knows that something's wrong. His mom is crying. She's like going out to a taxi in the front of the house. I'm like, okay, something terrible happened. His dad like freaking got in an accident on his deathbed or something. No, it's just his Grandpa G died. That's kind of what let down to me. I thought something big would happen.
Aww.
Not this character that just got introduced in the last chapter dying. Like this character I
Man.
don't even care about.
Well,
He's old anyway.
That's like when Gravity Falls. I was big into Gravity Falls when it was coming out. It's like when Gravity Falls Season 2 is coming out, and the creator tweeted, like, that, there's gonna be a character death in this season, you guys. 12-year-old fans. And then, the character death was the mayor of Gravity Falls, who was introduced in one episode, and everyone said he's 100 years old, and there are vultures flying around him, and then the next episode they say he died.
That's really
Oh,
funny.
he dies off screen.
But
No.
you admit that that's stupid. Like you're.
It is stupid. I was disappointed as a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, a kid show gonna have a
No.
character death? Whoa.
Now, my interpretation of Grandpa G's death.
Also, like it might have been another thing too if Grandpa G died like at the end of the book, but in the chapter right after introducing
No,
him.
that
Okay, okay. I feel like I interpreted his death completely differently than you. Because I did not get the impression that we were supposed to care about his death or think that Jake cares about his death.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, we were supposed to think that Jake cares about his death.
Okay.
Jake
Jake's
loves
like,
his Grandpa G
"Oh, I
because he
love
had that moment on the dock with him where Grandpa G's like, "Oh,
I love my Grandpa G."
I
Honestly,
love my Grandpa G so much."
this would have been a cool like point to say like where Jake. I don't know, like you could have had something where Jake is like, "I thought I loved him, you know, and I'm feeling sad, but I'm realizing I've never thought about him in 30 books before this."
Exactly, that would have
Which
been
is
a great
real.
character.
See, that's just
moment.
how I felt.
No, well, that's
about it,
honestly
I guess.
just like
That's how a kid would feel about his great grandpa
Exactly.
anyway, who he never visits because he lives 8 hours
So like
away.
you know you could have like an in-universe explanation for why he hasn't been brought up,
Instead of
but
just being like, "Oh, Jake
but
actually
it's
loves
like
this guy."
yo, I've loved him the whole time, dude.
Yeah. So that's
Like,
my
I
first
believe
comment.
that Jake loves his grandpa without ever brought him up in the previous books, because, you know, that's kind of like how kids'
I don't think he says
relationships
he
with
loves
their
his
relatives
grandpa
can
in
be
this book.
sometimes. He does. He says, he cries at the funeral, and he says that, I mean, that's for maybe different reasons, but he does say, like, oh, I love Grandpa G so much, or something.
I searched the word love, he never says it next to
Well,
it.
maybe he says, like,
Maybe he doesn't say it
I had such a
explicitly.
great... I don't know, he says
Maybe.
something like that.
I guess maybe I was just projecting my own feelings onto Jake, I guess.
Well,
I guess Tom didn't care at all. 'cause he
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
follow us, so maybe I
Grandpa
was
G
just
was
thinking
dead.
that.
According to Mrs. Malloy, who talked to the doctor, his heart had stopped while he was putting jelly on a slice of toast. He'd never even gotten a chance to eat it. A cool
It's
story,
really
bro.
sad.
I shivered. I cared about Grandpa G, and now he was gone, and my family was smaller. I didn't like that. I mean, like, I guess that's part of, like, oh yeah, maybe Tom will die and his family will be even smaller. But, like, I cared about Grandpa G.
Yeah, okay.
Like, okay, Jake, yeah, sure, yeah, sure.
Grandpa G's dead, I echoed, trying to wade through the emotions whirling around in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. How did Jake forget that Tom needs Conrona?
Oh, okay, I wrote that down. I was wondering if, like, you guys were gonna think he was being stupid and naive there. Because I remember when I was a kid reading this, I was like, oh, yeah, it's cool. Johnny's gonna die now. Wow, he's gonna starve. And then I like realized with Jake how bad it was, and I was like,
Really?
"Oh, the author's so smart." Well, when I was 12,
Yeah.
but like this time, I was like, "Jake, you're like stupid." But I was wondering if like that was just because I knew it was gonna happen.
Because the book, he was like, oh yeah, my brother Tom, he's a controller, by the way. He's a controller, and we're going to the thing for 4 days. Something's not right here. And then like 3 chapters later, he's like, oh yeah, he needs Conrona every 3
Marco
days.
has
How
to
did I
realize
forget?
it for him.
Yeah, he's
Marco
like, oh, I'm
can
so
see
stupid.
the straight line, which
That's
apparently
dumb.
means seeing facts.
Okay, and I have a question that's relevant to this entire book. Does starving of Candrola kill the host?
No.
It sounds like it's trying to imply that it does. That's why I was wondering.
This
like,
whole book
why
was,
did
like,
the
stupid.
Chi just hold Tom
Yeah.
in place
Yeah.
and let the freaking Yeerk die?
Because at the end of the book, it's like, oh, by the way, the Chi picked up Tom in an elevator, in a helicopter to
not
save
the
him.
Yeerks.
Yeah, the
Chi
Chi.
rescued him.
That was so
and
weird.
gave
Why
him
the Chi?
Kendrona.
I
So,
believe.
yeah.
What is wrong with you people?
I believe. How is that not violence? By the way,
Yeah,
in some way,
really.
I believe that it was the control. I was ready to believe like, oh yeah, well he picked
Yeah.
him up in a
Well,
helicopter, and the
Yeerks-
controller's
yeah,
like,
Yeerks went in
oh,
the helicopter, whatever.
Sure.
Was Chi a typo or something? Like, why would they put it? Just hold him for 3 days until the Yeerk starves.
That
Yes, that's
Why
why I
couldn't
hate
they do
this
that?
book.
It was a
that would be
stupidest
violence
thing.
against the Yeerk.
Like, that was, it's like, then I was like, why don't they do this with, like, Chapman and, like, a bunch of people? If the Chi can pick up controllers and helicopters, just starve the Yeerks in them. Like, what? Why haven't they been doing that? And they didn't do it in this book. It was stupid.
No, Banish was probably right. Probably dumb Animorph morals. Oh, that'd be violence to the Yeerk.
Yeah.
Well, Chi molds, they're programmed
okay.
against
Chi
violence.
morals, you can hold
Having
you
a
can
Yeerk
hug someone
starve-
to prevent them from moving, but starving is violence.
Having a Yeerk starve in having a Yeerk starve in your head is definitely not fatal to the host because Jake
It
had that
happened in
happen
book
in
six.
book 6.
I was like, am I
Yeah.
misremembering book 6 and the Yeerk actually like crawled out of his
Well,
head first or something? I don't think so.
Tom would die because in book 8,
Why would Tom die? What?
in
Yeah,
book
what
8,
did I say?
when the Yeerks were starving out of their hosts because of the
Drona?
Animorphs destroyed the transdrona, then
People were killing
The
the
Yeerks were
controller.
gonna
the
come around
Yeerk, the
and kill
controllers
them.
showed up and shot them in
Well,
the
they
head.
can't do that. No, it was
they
it
can't
was not a
do
gun.
it.
It was a little metal cylinder. Remember?
Whatever, they killed them. They killed the host.
Yeah, but they can't do that if he's in a helicopter controlled by Chi, can they? Or
Listen, the whole point was that the Yeerks don't care about Tom right now because
Yeah.
they were worried
But
about Chapman.
also, the Yeerks apparently weren't gonna find Chapman in that thing. Why couldn't they let the Chapman controller die either? Why'd they have to let him free? That didn't make any sense
That
either.
would be so
Chapman's a more
evil.
powerful Yeerk than Tom.
So that means the Animorphs
That would
care
be
more about
better-
letting him free? That doesn't make any sense. If he's more powerful, they'd want to get the Yeerk out of his
He's not even that
head.
powerful. Chapman is just like Visitor 3's
Are you asking why
sucker.
the
Like, he
Animorphs
doesn't do
didn't just
anything.
stop-
Yes, why didn't the Animorphs starve him?
Another
He was
stupid right.
in a shed where
They
apparently
had him
no.
tied up. The Yeerks didn't know where he was for some
And they were like,
reason.
"Oh, we need to let him free, or the Yeerk will starve." Why? Like I
I
remember,
didn't think about
I'm
this.
sorry.
he was like tied
The
up.
point was that you're defeating the Yeerks.
He was like tied up, and they were like,
We gotta
"Oh,
do it like peacefully.
We gotta
though,
torture
dude,
this
bro.
human man.
yeah, I don't get it," because they were like, "Oh," because Axe was like, "I'm gonna starve you to death, Yeerk," and then Jake was like, "Oh, but it was an empty threat. We weren't actually gonna do that." And I was like, Why not? Why not? Aren't you gonna do
Literally
that?
already did it.
Then there's a human that's free. He can meet his daughter again, tell him why he was tied up and she was tied up. Why did the Animorphs tie up a little girl, by the way? That's not what heroes do. That was weird.
It's better than having to starve a Yeerk that was just trying to kill your father, though.
Yeah,
bro.
apparently they can't starve that Yeerk, but they can tie up a little girl and like lock her up in the attic and gag her.
Jake is
She had
like-
a gag in her mouth, and they're like, "Oh, I guess the gag fell off because she's screaming now." Why are the Animorphs kidnapping people?
Jake is like...
I mean, not little girl. She's like in like high school or whatever, middle school.
Jake watching his friends rehabilitate a starving Yeerk that's about to kill his dad. I'm gonna totally kill you, bro. As soon as you get better, though. Get well soon, BB. Sends get well card to Tom's Yeerk specifically.
Man, I'm glad I'm not even going through my notes because I just have so much like feelings about
Jake
this. book.
watching the helicopter.
Despite all this, I did give it a
Jake
thumbs
watching-
up.
Jake watching the helicopter controlled by his all-powerful friends fly off with Tom in it. I'm gonna kill that guy someday, bro. When if only I had the chance.
It was so weird that Chi let Tom go in a helicopter because with the
I was willing
helicopter,
to believe it was
I
the
know,
controllers.
because the
I was
helicopter,
willing to believe it.
the helicopter came and I was like, wait, did the actual emergency services get there in time? And then Jake was like, oh yes, he's going up to the Yeerk. There was a Yeerk, and then it was like, oh, it was Chi actually. And I thought it was a human, then I thought it was a Yeerk, I thought it was a Chi, and the one it actually was makes the least sense.
Yes.
Okay, why didn't you just, like, in your head just change it so it wasn't the Chi?
Stir.
This is how Stir
Not
likes
how books
books.
work. It would be the best book ever if I just rewrote it in my head to be good.
They're the ones who piloted. No, Chi definitely wasn't a typo because Marco's like, oh, I couldn't have done it without the Chi. They're the ones who piloted the medieval and insisted.
Thank you, Chi.
Oh, okay. So it does say the Chi insisted on taking Tom back home. So like it was the Chi's decision to not starve him. So I guess I will believe that the Chi are just so stupid.
Hope the Chi just turned out to be double agents who have been working for the Yeerks the whole time.
That'd be really funny.
Oh my gosh.
I know that they're against like giving more people the morphing power because of
Come on,
David.
listen, hear out my theory. Listen, the Chi can't do anything except give the Animorphs bad info. Like, their violence thing is preventing them from killing the Animorphs. Right?
Yeah.
I can't believe the Chi refused to starve Yeerks. So why not just give, like, that's so stupid. I guess that has to be...
We can't resolve the Tom thing ever.
Based on...
Man, what would a Chi Charlie problem look like?
Probably, we're not going to have any important plot developments ever again until the final book, and everything's going to have to be wrapped up, and nothing is going to be given enough time.
I mean, Wizard found out about the Animorphs in the last book.
Okay, another thing about that...
What is she even going to do? Be natural, come on, what is she going to do?
Show up 20 books from now, maybe?
I have another thought about that, because I didn't think about it until I was reading this book. Okay, so Visa 1, from the previous book, knows now that the Animorphs are humans, right? Yeah. But it seems like what I assume is going to happen in the future books is she's going to stay in hiding, not tell the Yeerks that, because she's worried about the treason thing. But in the previous book, even after she already has a warrant on her head or whatever, she has to be dead, her plan was to show the Yeerk Council that Visor 3 is hiding, that Visor 3 was incompetent and didn't realize that there is a free Hork-Bajir colony, okay? Wouldn't the fact that, the definite knowledge that the Animorphs are humans and the identity of one of them, wouldn't that be enough info to say, hey, I figured this out, stupid Visor 3 didn't, he's incompetent? Isn't that better than a random Hork-Bajir colony? Wouldn't that be enough info to tell the Yeerk and then be the leader? Yeah. And I don't believe that that's where it's gonna go. I believe she's gonna, in the next book that she's in, it's like, oh yeah, I can't meet the Yeerks because I have a warrant on my head. I'm gonna be very, is that the right word? Warrant? I don't think that's the right word. They want her dead.
So they call it like a gashad or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a Yeerk word for it. But if she was correct in her previous plan that if she shows the Hork-Bajir colony, then they won't trust Visor 3 anymore. The Yeerks Council won't. I would think that what she discovered at the end of that book would be much more useful information to the Yeerks, and then she would be good again, and then they would know, and presumably they would be able to find the identity of Marco, the other Animorphs, because it's like, oh, well, if Marco's a human, it's probably the kids he hangs out with every day at school. Those together, if that is the direction it goes, that's going to be interesting, but I kind of doubt it, and I'm annoyed. Yeah. I realized that reading this book.
At this point, we've just got to accept that they're not going to find out who the Animorphs are until the second.
Yeah, despite in book 4, Chapman was like, I think there are human footprints here, and they might be humans, but Visor 3 is stupid, and I don't want to tell him because I'm scared.
Yeah, book 4.
I think that was in book 4. It was in
it was. It was really early on. I almost forgot about it.
Yeah, and it was just, and there were a couple of random Yeerks who were like, I think they might be humans, but I can't tell Visor 3 who'll kill me and say I'm stupid. I love Animorphs, by the way.
He'll kill me, and even worse, he'll say I'm stupid.
Let me look at it.
Literally acts in this book. Oh no, now all the Yeerks are gonna say I was the worst, most...
Oh, that was the thing in the book, yeah. Dude, yeah.
I'm not saying that moment was bad, by the way. It just reminded me of it.
It was just another,
I kind of like that.
I kind of like that dimension to X's character, except it was resolved way too quickly.
Was it resolved?
Like, so we
have to go back
into what we as promised. I'm your prince, remember? And Dax is like, oh, it's okay.
Well, I kind of assumed that would come back, but I'm always wrong about that kind of stuff.
Come back in this book.
I mean, this isn't like a thing. There is a part of the book at the end where Jake is like, now I see why Grandpa G doesn't display his medals. When I get medals, I'm gonna have to buy a Foot Locker.
Oh, and
because
by the
of all
way,
the horrible
Jake's
things I do. And I think that was just like one of those horrible things that he had to do was telling Axe to torture somebody. Although he didn't really torture people, he just made it seem like he was going to.
He tied them up and made threats.
Yeah, which is
like mock torture.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like Andalite not good and all, but come on, guys.
Well, he made
you literally murdered.
And in case, because I don't think we mentioned, the reason that he was like, oh, they're going to make a mockery out of me is because their plan was to do that and then intentionally leave that last behind so he could get free for whatever reason they want to do that. So they're like, oh, this is going to be a great Yeerks are going to talk about this all day. They're like, oh, that stupid Andalite doesn't know how glass works, doesn't know you can cut stuff with it.
I don't want this person to write a book on how to defeat the Confederacy in the Civil War.
What? Why? I don't understand what you're saying.
We can't kill this. We can't kill the slave owners. That would be mean. We gotta
What? Okay, that's not just this ghost fighter. The Animorphs do that all the time.
Yeah, and Nelson is kind of par for the course in terms of Animorph morality.
They killed Hitler in the last book by
accidentally.
That was an accident.
They said they couldn't, and then
they decided not to kill him, and then he just happened to die anyway.
Let's never talk about that book again.
Sorry, it didn't happen.
Freaking things just happening to turn out right for Jake. I hate when characters are having a conundrum about their decisions, and then their decisions are taken away from them, so, they don't have to worry about it anymore. Yay.
That
dude in the parking garage, not a controller, oh well. At the end, the Animorphs show up and save Tom. Okay, well.
Do you want the book to not have an ending?
That was a parallel to the last book where Jake intentionally took the decision away from Marco.
That was thematically related.
It was, exactly. So
I don't care about themes.
Oh. That's based.
You guys have been whining about themes this entire
I have
series.
read some good Animorphs books. Okay,
Us
I have
being,
high standards at this point.
Crying soy jacks at this book, like, it didn't have any themes. It stirs like a Chad, and what is he even saying is good about this book? It had Tom in it.
So, do you have any thoughts about what we've been talking about?
It had Jake Stanton, who's my favorite character.
Wait, who's wrong? I'm wrong?
He's an adult character.
And my favorite character, the toupee-wearing man who likes them.
Oh, dude, I did like that scene, though. I like the toupee-wearing man.
I didn't like it.
You know what this book was? This book took me back to, the first few books, where I was like, this series is crazy. This series has so much going for it. This book took me back to that. And for the last, 10 books, other than, the one good one,
this was like book 6 but bad.
Okay, I will say, I don't think you guys will agree with this, but I think, this was my favorite book that, not my favorite book, but the one that explored this best.
Sorry, I'm just thinking, someone make an image where there's 3 crying Wojaks saying there's no themes, where?
There were good themes
and Mustard is like the Wojak that's crying but has a mask that's smiling. It's like, there were no themes, but I liked it anyway. There is a Chad in the middle of it.
He's like, I don't care about themes.
Yeah.
No, listen. Okay. I think this book, for my preferences, I like how this book explored Jake being unsure about his decisions as a leader, because I know, but I'm just saying, I hated it in book 11, and that's the book I think of where it happened the most, or 16, The Forgotten, whatever The Forgotten is.
What? You hated it?
You know what I like in this book?
Forgotten?
You know what I like about what Jake does in this book?
No, because they're stupid, because all his decisions didn't matter.
Oh, now you care about his decisions not mattering.
No, okay, no.
It was just a dream.
No, the thing I didn't like about the book is that he was stressing out about his decisions, and the whole time I was like, Jake, these decisions are fine, shut up. Well, in this book, I was like, yeah, that is a difficult decision.
yeah, Jake, you could be Melvin.
In this book, Jake gives up, and I like that. He's like, I'm done deciding.
He literally just had a Cassie, but worse.
Dude, okay, actually, I was wondering if there's a part of the book where it's like, I'm not the leader. That's the name of
this episode. We have to make it a dance. Apparently, there's a dance. We in the next 2 years, we have to create a viral.
Did we talk about what dance we were gonna do?
A viral sensation called the Cassie but worse, and then we can call this book the Jake does the Cassie but worse.
Yeah. I guess that's a dance.
We have to set out to create a viral dance sensation called the Cassie but worse.
In 2 years, viral dance sensations aren't gonna be the big thing anymore, probably.
Right.
Okay.
It's gonna be viral penis sensations.
No. Wait, what are you saying?
Which is another word for chlamydia.
What? Oh,
okay.
That's funny, actually, I guess. What was I saying?
That is very clever, actually.
I don't know if chlamydia is a virus. It's just the first STI I could think of.
Whatever. Yeah, what were we saying?
I did like. Okay. We're not going in order for this book.
I did. Okay, it was kind of cool that Jake was actually doing stuff that made the other Animorphs mad at him, which isn't really something we've seen before.
And and it happened with so many different characters. Like, Axe was mad about the torture thing. Marco was like, Jake, you suck. I forget.
Marco died or something.
I don't know. Every time
it's dumb because when they're kidnapping Chapman shoots Marco with a shotgun or something, and then they're like, oh no, did Marco die? And then he just
Dude,
morphs and remorphs, and he's like,
Why was there a
remorph,
whole
remorph.
scene
But
that
I'm mad at you
where
because I almost died.
You guys
like,
always-
you haven't done that 60 times before.
you guys always talk about the Animorphs always dying. I never remember those because they're so
Well, it was
inconsequential.
insignificant in this book.
Yeah, like, okay, the only book, the most
But
book I can think of,
seems significant.
like that stupid time travel book, Megamorphs 3 or whatever, that one, it was like crazy, and I was like, oh, they died, like when it was like, oh, but like every time when they almost die, it's like, who cares? You almost die every book. It's not shocking anymore.
Exactly. So that part was dumb.
Now,
chlamydia is a bacteria.
Although it was good when Marco was like mad at Jake for almost spoiling their cover like 7 times, but
yeah, I'm surprised that like,
being too stupid. to
did
not
Marco
see
talk
the
about his mom in this book? He
line.
was like, Jake, it's like what happened to me in the last book. You have to remember that.
I guess they had a conversation like that, yeah.
Boy,
I glared at him. You're enjoying this.
I sound so
This is
negative in this
payback.
episode. Honestly, dude, after I read this book, I did not think this was how the episode was gonna go. That half of it's just me screaming at this book. That really is what's happening so far. Is I'm just screaming about my negative things about this book.
I hated.
I don't
Marco
remember
right
the
then.
positive things, surprisingly.
I hated Marco right then. Hated him because he wouldn't have made the mistake I'd made. He would have seen. Hated him.
The clear
because-
line? Would you have seen the clear line?
Yes. Hated him because he'd already lost his mother and he knew what the inside of my head was like because he knew I was scared and just wanted to cry.
That's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. It's just that they didn't
Listen,
do
I
a good
didn't
job.
thumbs down this book.
They just
Yeah.
didn't do a good
I
job
have
of
no
like
offense.
making it compelling. It was like, hey guys, I thought of this, and like, okay, what are you gonna do with it? I thought of it.
I will say
Okay.
this wasn't like a certain thumbs up for me. Like I was thinking about giving it a meh, but I
This
was like some of the themes that I explored in
low
this
meh
book
for
I
me.
liked better. I liked it in this book better than in previous books when they did some of the stuff, and it's like, you know, that's good enough for me personally. I was like, I liked a lot in this book, and I'll give it a thumbs up. You know, that's kind of how I view things.
Sure.
Is there a dance called the Grinch?
There wasn't any like big fight scenes that I remember
The
that were
Grinch
really
that
boring.
Jake can do?
No, we're not doing the Grinch.
Jake does the Grinch.
What's
Is
the?
that a dance?
It's probably like some kind of dance that Jim
Body
Carrey does in that
checking is
movie.
apparently like hitting someone, shoving someone.
Jake does the body check.
Hey, did anyone else assume that Jake's dad and Tom were just going to the Yeerk pool?
When?
So like, where did Tom take Jake's dad? I was like, to the Yeerk pool. Where else?
That would make sense. I mean, the Yeerks control a lot of the police, so like they could just kidnap him and stick him in a car and drive him to the Yeerk pool.
Well, no, wasn't the reason they didn't do that is because they were like, oh, Chapman is a bigger priority right now. They don't care about.
That was
Tom.
after that.
No,
though.
this was at the beginning.
the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Like they just
Jake
met
comes
him at like a
home-
laundromat or something to talk to him.
Right.
Well, yeah,
so
and-
they have an emergency sharing meeting at a random strip mall.
Yeah.
Why? I was assuming that they were just like go and infest him right away. You know, like why bother with the sharing?
Okay,
Yeah.
speaking of that, this is like later, but this is, I think, in the same vein. I don't understand why Tom had to kill his dad. Couldn't he just, like, run
Also,
away?
yeah,
go-
another stupid thing.
like, steal
if
his
Tom
car?
kills Jake's dad,
Like, what's he gonna do? Steal the car? He can do that without killing him.
exactly.
Why does he have to kill him?
He's just
How
mad.
killing himself anything?
He's
Like-
just mad.
Like, I assume he wants to kill him so he can steal his car and go back to the Yeerk pool. He can do that without killing him.
I want to kill him because he's realizing that like being under the power of this guy isn't a good deal.
It doesn't say that. I don't.
He's just
I
mad.
don't think so. It seems, based on what Jake says,
He's
I'm
pissed.
under the impression that it's because he needs to kill Jake to get Jake's dad to get back to the Yeerk pool. It's the only
No,
way.
He doesn't.
And he doesn't. And I only realized that after I read the book. I think I was like, wait, why?
I was thinking about that while I was.
Or maybe
reading
no.
it.
Actually, I'm thinking of the other thing. I think I did realize that. Yeah, I was like, why would he have to kill him? This doesn't make any sense.
A lot of moments in this book made me go, "Why?"
Yeah, man. Like the more I think about this book, it's just everything is stupid in it.
Yeah, mustard. Funny.
I liked the scene where Jake was a cockroach because it seemed realistic to me.
No, I didn't. I didn't understand.
What?
I didn't think it was realistic that he got away at all. It was like,
Why?
my legs could not move because they were stuck with jam, and my dad
Oh,
was
that
trying
hap-
to stop me, but
Okay.
he didn't.
Why
I
did
don't
this author
remember-
decided there needed to be a scene where they pretended that Jake might die because jelly was dropped on him?
Okay, I don't remember.
Oh,
Okay,
Animorphs.
what you know? What's funny? I don't remember
Not
Jelly
enough
getting.
funny stuff in
I don't
this
remember
book.
him getting stuck in
This wasn't
jelly
very
at all.
funny. It feels like lately there's been very few scenes that have actually been played for laughs, but then they still have scenes like this where like it would have been played for laughs in a previous book, but instead it's played completely seriously, and it's like, I know they're not gonna die. You're not gonna kill Jake by dropping jelly on him in chapter 5 of book 31 of
Okay.
64.
Did the jelly really almost stop him? I didn't know.
Why
that.
did
Almost
you?
killed him,
Okay, if
supposedly.
it's not a serious thing, why did you take it seriously? That's a you problem.
I simply should have not.
Simply
Can I
should
say
have laughed.
the thing that I liked about this scene is because I don't like bugs, and I was really sympathizing with Jake's dad in this scene.
Oh yeah, I was horrified for Jake's dad.
Yeah.
Jake crawls in
And-
his pant like Jake's dad tries to get him out, and
Yeah.
then he doesn't, and Jake just stays in there.
I think this is the first time in a book where there has been a bug scene where I'm like, I was like
I was horrified
imagining being
reading
the
this.
guy who was like accidentally trying to kill
It
them.
was awful.
Yeah, I
'cause-
wanted this cockroach dead.
Yeah,
I
'cause-
wanted him dead.
well, because I was thinking like, okay, so because what happened is his dad accidentally drops jam and he's like, a cockroach, and he's like trying to stomp it, and then he crawls up his pant leg, and I was thinking like, if there was a freaking roach that crawled up my pant
I
leg,
would take my pants off.
I would make sure it's dead before I leave the kitchen.
I would, I would not just be like, oh, I guess I got away.
But did it say okay? But then I was like, okay, I would. It must have like ran under the sink without me seeing it. Like I don't.
How would I would not freaking convince myself that.
Well,
I got
okay.
away. I'm looking for this thing.
I think I would
Cockroaches
assume.
are big.
I would assume. Well, I don't know. No,
Sometimes.
some of them are like only like an inch or like half an inch. I would assume that Jake's dad is less afraid of bugs than I am, and it did say like Jake was not hiding on his leg. I believe he was hiding
Is
in
there
like
an inside of it?
in like an inside crease in
In
the
the
pant
cuff,
leg. We
yeah.
would not be able to see it. So I was like, because at first I was like, there's no way he wouldn't make sure he sees that coach's dead body. But I was like, okay,
Must
I buy
something
it.
convenient happened, okay?
Yeah, okay, but when I thought about it more, I was like, I buy it enough for it to work.
Okay, listen. Do you want something
It was a
convenient to happen? Do you want nothing to happen? The book has to. Stuff has to happen in the book.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
The
say.
book can't just end without something convenient happening.
But overall, I did like that scene, just because I
can
thought
see
about
why
being
that
Jake's
scene was
dad.
in the book. It just was.
It might be my favorite bug scene in the series so far. Other than like really scary stuff for the Animorphs, like when they got sprayed and almost died, when they were ants and they freaked out. This was like my
Yeah,
favorite.
so I'm like, it was the best bug scene except for the ones that were better. Okay.
Except for the
Okay, no, but that okay.
It was the best mediocre
No.
bug
But
scene.
those
I
ones
have
are
to
different.
say.
Those ones are a different genre of bug scenes. Those are death scenes and scared scenes. This is like a scene
Okay,
that's
but they
focused
tried
on
to make
bug.
it seem like he was gonna die, so.
I didn't notice that. I did not remember that he got stuck in jam. I remember the jam being dropped. I don't remember being like a big selling point of him dying. But I'm sure that did happen. I really I'm not good at paying attention. I love this series.
I like that you keep having to remind
Well, because I feel like I'm so negative this whole episode, and like I don't want people to think that I hate this book or hate Animorphs. But
Listen, I'm the Anton Ego of Animorphs books, okay? I don't like them, I love them. And if I don't love them, I'm not thumbsing up, okay?
Nice.
that's true. You have you had much higher expectations for this book. Because I remember you said you were so excited, and I was like, I mean, maybe it'll be cool. I don't see.
It seemed like an interesting premise.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna have some cool Tom stuff.
I guess
Tom
really,
was just a freaking mustache twirler this whole
We
book.
had a
though.
little bit of
dude.
Tom stuff.
He was when he
The
freaking.
the scene with the Nazi dagger.
But I
The
like
scene
that
with
scene
his
though.
Stupid dream drove me.
Oh yeah,
nuts.
what the heck was that
The
dream?
dream was so dumb. That was a literal Animorphs Jingle Bell moment.
What does that
dream?
mean? Oh, Jingle Bells.
My dream?
Jake
No,
has
that was a real life
Jake
story.
I liked it.
dreams that he's
I liked
in World
it.
War II.
Oh.
Jake has a dream when he's in World War
Okay.
II, and then he gets stabbed.
That's so great.
I thought it was kind of cool.
What is wrong with that at all, by any prospect?
Alright. It's subjective. I
I'm the
understand
prospector.
that. Reading it, I thought it was stupid.
I will
No,
say
that Silent Night was then it really happened. It was
I know.
cool.
I just don't think it was a good fit for this in book.
Yeah, okay.
I think
how about-
it could have been very good if
Hey,
the book was
Ghostwriters?
written well.
Hey guys, maybe like just keep World War II out of Animorphs generally.
Right.
Like, it
I'm
seems
not-
like
Like what Binashram just said. Like, if it was written better, I
Could have been
bought
very
it.
impactful. I just didn't like the
It
writing
was
in the
just-
rest of the book.
Jeez,
I don't know
Kind
what
of
you're
felt
talking about
bad.
the writing being bad at all.
There's just
I
like
go still thumbs up this book, but not thumbs up the previous one. That
Yeah, I
thumbs up.
did it, and I wonder why. Maybe because it's just this, but worse.
I'm glad we
You're
have
saying the last
contrarian
book
stir
was this,
back.
but worse.
Yeah.
Stir is the
He's
Armand
saying
White of
that.
Animorphs books. He
Yeah.
likes all the ones that are bad. And
No, I like the
ones
good
that are
ones a lot.
No,
He does.
I'm just-
Okay, when we all are like, this is one of the best books. He agrees with that.
Yeah,
Except,
no,
although you didn't like. No,
the,
you
la-
did
the last book, all he did in the episode was complain about the book and then say, "Yeah, this is a thumbs up."
That's why I did two in this episode. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, you all act like the last book was so great and it wasn't.
Yeah, honestly, I can see what he's saying. I think I was more negative about the last book during the recording of it than I'm being now.
Yeah.
I'll admit that that's kind of hypocritical.
I barely remember the last book already, except like the end.
Yeah, you're saying this one's not memorable. You
But I
guys
will
just say
say
so
it was
much
better
trash
than this
about the
book.
last book and then say it's better for no reason.
It was better. Do you know how much trashing I'm doing on this? Stir, I've barely said anything positive about this book at all.
Stir was too busy playing Catan last
Stir,
book,
you
okay?
didn't even hear anything I said last time. Don't even.
You guys were trashing the book so bad. Also, you kept buying sheep.
Okay, now I don't think you guys are gonna agree with this, but I thought I liked the entire subplot, I guess, of Jake opening up his granddad's footlocker and like he finds like a purple heart medal and he's like, this is cool, and then Tom sees a Nazi dagger and he's like, give me that.
Alright. Yes, it was cool. Tom then stealing the Nazi dagger to stab his father.
He was a big
with.
edgelord about it.
Bit over the top, okay? You went a little bit too far.
Animorphs is always over the top.
And being like,
This is an over the top series.
I love honor, courage, and bravery. I'm freaking out because I'm bad and I'm not living up to my own morals. Good enough on its own. World War II scene took it one step further than it needed to be taken.
Now, the thing I liked most about the scene, though, is in the end where... Because the reason that he got the purple heart is Jake's like, oh, that's bravery. And then Tom's like, give me the dagger. And he's like, hey, don't take that. And he's like, no, you get the purple heart about bravery. I'm taking the thing that gets the job done. And I like...
Yeah, wasn't Tom supposed to be like a cool guy? Like, okay, I can kind of see this as like Tom the Yeerk Tom doesn't really care about keeping his cover up that much anymore. Mm. He's kind of letting the character slip.
Well, there was a scene...
I wish Jake would have said that, because it just kind of made it sound like Jake thinks that this is normal behavior for Tom almost.
Right.
But, like, I mean, like, yeah,
it would have been cool.
It would have been good
Tom was starting to let himself slip. If his
I think that's
was making
what
him
it
break
was.
his cover, that would have been epic.
Then let it be that way. Yeah.
I think there was
it doesn't say it's
I wish that it kind of looked that way, but it's kind of unclear. It's like I think the author should have explored that.
You guys love it when it's not
Author
clear.
It more.
I think there was a scene where like Tom says something weird, like, "Oh, I don't care about Grandpa," and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, just kidding," or something, and they're like, "Oh, that's normal." I want to get to my point though about this footlocker thing.
Hold on, wait, hold that thought. You just made me think of something.
It gets meme.
No.
Can you write it down while I'm talking? Or... Is it a Gex meme?
No.
Is it related to this book?
It's Marco Polo where he says, just kidding.
Okay.
I want to hear that.
Yes, look up the clip right now.
Can I please...
I have it saved on my
Make Mustard
computer.
not able to talk.
I want to discuss
Don't
what
like
I
it.
like, because I didn't get to the thing that I liked about the dagger scene yet. You people keep interrupting me. I'm going to wait till you do that, because I don't want to be interrupted.
Mike say his thing first, though.
What did I even say?
Just kidding.
Okay, yeah.
What do you want to drink?
No, I think I think Tom was like, "Oh, this place sucks." No, what was it? The thing he was saying, just kidding. He was like, "That's not important. That's what I'm talking about." Okay, so then at the end of the book, Jake has his dialogue where he's like, "Grandpa hid all the stuff in a locker because to someone who's not been through war, the Purple Heart represents bravery, while the daggers represent violence." But then he says, to someone who has been through war, which the Animorphs are in a war, the Purple Heart and the dagger both represent the same thing, because the person who's been through it, all they think about when they see the Purple Heart is the violence that they committed, you know? And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
that's a cool moment.
That, like, this Nazi dagger that represents getting the job done and this Medal of Honor and bravery that... whatever.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and like Jake can't be proud of either of them. So then in the end, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll need to buy a footlocker after we."
Yeah, that was
the
cool.
Yeerks."
I honestly liked that as like a visual, a sort of, well, not visual because he didn't buy a footlocker for real, but like kind of like this tangible like representation of how Jake has changed. Because at the beginning, at the beginning of the book, he was like, "Oh yeah, I wondered why Grandpa G. As a kid, I always wondered why Grandpa G didn't display the." Badges, the rainbow badge, the gym badges.
The purple heart that he has.
The medals, that's what they're called. Also, Jake says that like, yeah, I'm old now. My soul is old. He said something like that. Like,
well, his Grandpa G told him that a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, he's right. My soul is old because I've been through war.
Yeah. I thought that was a believable thing for Grandpa G to say, Jake.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Like, and a thing that would make you, like, in retrospect, is way more true than he could have imagined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, what you said, Mustard, kind of made me feel better, more positive about what happens afterward when Grandma G, or Grandpa G's daughter, Jake's grandma, gives him the purple hearts and the stuff as like a memento of him because they're dividing up Grandpa G's stuff. At first, I thought that was really stupid, but now I guess it's kind of cool that he has it because it works as a visual metaphor for what he's been going through.
Yeah. Like the whole the dagger representing the violence and the purple heart representing the
it
whatever.
just didn't seem all that realistic.
Yeah.
Especially from Jake's grandma's perspective. And she obviously doesn't know anything to do Jake is going through. Mm-hmm. It's like, a purple heart, that's a big deal.
But there was that was a cool.
Sure, it works thematically.
Yeah, like when you guys were saying there's no themes, I think that was I don't know if it was really I guess it was kind of in the beginning of the book with what you said, but I
wish it had been built up more.
Yeah.
But it was good when it finally had its payoff.
Like when it started with because to me at least when I noticed it when it started with because I forgot about that thing in the beginning because to me it started with Tom grabbing it and saying, oh, this is what gets the job done and then it ends. The last sentence of the book is, "Oh, I need to buy a footlocker to hide the medals and stuff." And that was a cool moment of the book. One of the reasons I gave it a thumbs up. And that's all I have to say about that. I think.
I like that they're over the Jake telling X, "Don't call me Prince" thing because that was annoying. Now Jake just says X calls me his Prince. It's an Andalite respect thing.
I like how the part where X is very snippy with says a really passive aggressive.
Yeah, actually had that highlighted.
The respect only goes so far, and I'm
yeah,
good.
Yeah, it's great.
I like the idea of the respect being a kind of a ceremonial obligation thing, but X is still looking down on him whenever he can.
Yes, Prince Jake, it was not overly difficult for me to deduce the purpose of the open spiral structure. X sniffed.
This is something I've stolen in my own writing from the Animorphs art writing style, but I like the use of sniffed as a dialogue tag.
Has that been in previous books? I haven't noticed that.
I think so.
I think I've only noticed it right now when I read it out loud.
It's fun. I like it.
It is fun, yeah. What does it mean?
He's just being
Okay, that's how I interpret it. I like that.
How when you want to say somebody's stuck up, you call them snotty. I guess it's kind of related to that.
Dude, there's so many words that I read in books, and I just think they mean a totally different thing than what they really mean. And that's probably why I'm so bad at reading comprehension and stuff that part of it. But I have fun. You look like you didn't want to hear that. You're like, oh, this mustard talking about how he is stupid.
I've noted on chapter 12.
That's about where I'm at, looking through my notes.
Me too.
I have no notes.
This interaction where they think someone's a controller, but he's just a guy angry about where Jake's dad parked his car is kind of funny, I guess. Not super interesting. No. So far, this book is definitely a meh.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, but then that was what I said. I did not like the first half of this book.
Everyone had suffered. Chapman, X, this is the end of the book. Chapman, X, Tom, Marco, and some guy who just wanted his parking space back. And I'm like,
I'm glad
come on.
He mentioned that.
No, that guy sucks. People who think that they own a parking space that they didn't reserve.
His toupee was stolen off of his head by a freaking bird.
He deserves it. He deserves it. He got it back. He deserves it. He's a freaking guy who thinks he can confront.
He was
Marco's.
By a cockroach.
Did you not hear?
Beard,
Jake's
did
dad
you notice
is a
the
good
cockroach?
guy.
It was in his beard?
He was screaming and trying to pull him away.
It was in his beard? I thought it was in his hair. That sucks.
He deserves it.
Mustard knows because he has a beard.
If you think you own a parking spot because you've been parking in it a lot and you didn't reserve it, screw you. How is anybody who's not been keeping track of where they've been parking supposed to keep track of that? This is freaking America. Yeah. You don't have to have. There's no trouble finding a parking space. Come on.
Okay. I was just gonna say I was about to write down there are too many people with toupees in this universe, but I checked. I think there's only been 2, so
I don't remember
I'll accept
the previous
that.
one.
There was one previous one where they also snatched a guy's hair off accidentally or something.
I was gonna say I've never met anybody with a toupee, but then you realize you probably don't notice.
Yeah, you probably don't know. Yeah, I think
like
nowadays
a very old-fashioned thing.
It does.
I think nowadays being bald is more in style than having hair and fake hair. I think people. I could be wrong, but I believe it's more fashionable now than it used to be to be bald.
It's just a part of life.
Yeah.
For many
aging
people.
Mm-hmm. They used to it. Oh, also, during that scene, I was wondering why they didn't just have Tobias morph into a human and just distract the guy.
The car park scene?
Yeah. I was confused why Tobias attacked the guy.
Exactly.
They said
that was the
Jake
only thing
up,
I could think of.
But, it was 3 seconds.
Yeah, and Jake did come up with a plan anyway, so...
So the way that whole thing, simmered down was, they were like, oh, he's not a controller because he's just mad about his car.
Again, But you really roll out him being a controller for that reason. I don't know.
That is
Whatever.
true.
I guess he never alerted the Yeerks to
Dude.
the fact that there was a really sussy bird.
I think in this book, actually, they talk about, Yeerks, there's no indication someone's a Yeerk. They don't scratch their ears. Psst, Animorphs TV show.
I know, I thought
Keep
that
that
was an
in mind.
intentional dig at the Animorphs TV show.
Oh, is it out by this point?
Yes.
That's
the
funny.
The Animorphs TV show's almost over by this point. The
Oh, it
Animorphs
might
TV
have
show
been
started
then.
over
Did
a
you
year
just
before
draw
this.
this 2 seconds ago, Be Natural? That's really great.
And so it said all this stuff, but it's obviously, I think these books generally, the controllers do act like the humans perfectly. But, anyone spying on the controllers will just overhear them saying, yes, Visor 3, Andalites. They just do that all the
They
time.
involuntarily say Andalites, even if they're by themselves and they
Yeah.
just see somebody.
So it's it wouldn't be
Really
that
can't
difficult to tell.
Yeah.
Freaking Melvin or whatever found out in Animorphs because he heard his neighbor talking about Visit 3 or something. Silly universe those Animorphs they made.
I thought it was dumb that Jake decided to turn into a peregrine falcon to make sure his dad was safe. When his dad was sprinkling the lawn with the hose.
The sprinkles. He wanted to taste sweeter. For Axe, of course. It was a trap. It was a trap for Axe.
It wouldn't be
Sorry.
weird for him to just be near to his dad as a human.
I guess that's a good point. Well, I guess then he couldn't.
He just had to blow his cover.
Oh, I was gonna say then he couldn't stop it, but I think it'll be more likely that Jake will try to stop it than a random
stopped
cock.
it
Yeah,
by
you're right.
being a human.
Oh yeah, he did.
He was just,
Oh, we should talk about that gun scene
was
because that was
just-
pretty weird.
he was
The
just
drive-by.
Target's dumb
I didn't
son.
say what I was going to say about Beardman.
What are you gonna say about Beardman, Mister?
I was going to say, okay, so he's introduced as Beardman, right? And then his toupee comes off, and they call him Baldman.
Oh, this says a lot about society.
Yeah, I didn't remember him
A
having
teacher
a beard,
writes
actually.
10 equations on the board. 1 times 3 equals 1. 2 times 3 equals 6. 3 times 3 equals 9, etc. Student says, you wrote the wrong equation first. Teacher says, this is so sad. This is like how my wife won't talk to me just because I told her I'd beat her, even though I've said I love her many times.
No, I
Can we
think
hit 5 likes?
I think it's cool that the Jake's perception of the guy changed once his toupee came off. He's like, yeah, he's bald now.
What do you mean that's cool? How is that cool?
It's like character development for the guy.
Oh my god! This is
For the guy?
Stir is operating on another level, okay? Stir is doing a level of
Well,
media
no, he goes
analysis
from
we can
beard
only
guy to
dream
bald
of.
guy. I like that.
So I'm so glad you're not playing guitar anymore. You say good stuff in these episodes.
He sure is a funny gags.
Stop looking at Gex. We still just got a Gex for PS1. I haven't.
too.
Yeah, that's what I was. I don't know.
Like
If
PX2.
I don't know if this is going to be in the
PX.
episode, but I was screaming at him before we started. Stop playing Gex. It's
You
time to
already
record.
recounted your exact wording of how you screamed at Stir.
I know one thing. I will kill the Yeerk who has done this to my brother. I will kill them. End of book. Bye. I hope you get better soon.
I was going to talk about that scene actually,
Yeah.
because that wasn't that after the drive-by.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the
We need to
drive-by.
talk about this drive-by.
drive-by.
Why does Chapman have to be involved in literally everything?
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't have picked a guy that Jake's household
Jake probably
wouldn't
would have forgotten
recognize.
that Chapman existed.
Yeah, I'm
before
surprised
this
that they. Why would they pick a powerful controller to do a drive-by? Wouldn't they get someone like random goon to do
Get
that?
like a homeless guy or something. I don't know.
thing. Yeah.
It was so, dude. That scene was after I just felt like this book's pretty.
Just get
crazy.
somebody that people don't recognize is the point. Especially not the guy
Because
who's the
Jake literally
principal.
was like, oh, hi, Mr. Chapman.
Dude, I like that scene a lot actually. Where Jake's just acting like he like stops the shooting somehow. I forget
Okay,
how.
so Jake's dad is watering the lawn.
He sprays the
Jake
car
runs
at the
outside
hose.
and is
The
like,
guy's
"Why
like,
did you do
"Oh."
that, Dad?"
Oh yeah, that's a fun scene.
Yeah, I
it
thought it
is.
was fun that he sprayed the car because the window was open because the guy was literally sticking a gun out of it.
I feel like this book has borrows a couple things from Megamorphs, like drive-by shootings and tying up people and gagging them. A bit far for Animorphs, I think.
Wait, what is this stealing from?
Like the whole crack house thing from Megamorphs.
No, Megamorphs 3.
Oh, are you just saying it's crazy?
It's just a bit too far. I feel like I don't know. Like,
What
You
was
know what,
the
drive-by
crack house?
shootings?
I might have agreed with you if this was an earlier book, but now that I've seen how far Animorphs is willing to go, this is just pales in comparison.
This
was-
is like the second. Hey, how many
It
books?
just sounds like a stupid idea for the Yeerks. Like, a dude gets shot in his yard.
Well, I didn't think Jake mentioned that, but he's like, no, they'll do anything just to not let Tom die or something.
Wasn't
it was
the crack
weird.
house in book 27?
The crack house was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Literally invite 2 guys and a Yeerk in a plastic bag to come over to your house when Jake's not home. Because Jake left his dad and might remind you, he left his dad and Tom home alone to go meet up with the rest of the Animorphs. And was like, oh boy, I hope nothing happens. Just invite 2 guys with a Yeerk to come and put it in. What's the dad gonna do about it? Why do you have to set up all these crazy pretenses and then just decide to blow your cover to just shoot him for no reason?
I can't believe it is so.
Why'd you give up on infesting him?
It is so insane to me that they were just like, oh, pull up a card, and pull out a gun, and shoot him.
How many Animorphs books have had just actual guns? Like 2 at
There's
this
been
point?
a couple. No, there's been more than that. It is strange that the Yeerks are using them in this book.
Like Chapman has a gun that he's
not even a Dracon beam. He has an actual right?
Yeah,
it was just an actual gun.
Just a gun.
I guess maybe so it seemed more realistic.
It is in the daylight.
Maybe because they were like, oh yeah, drive-by shootings happen.
But then it's in the
He has a
daylight. Why are you
well-mounted
using
Dracon
Chapman?
I love
Chapman.
driving by and
Yes,
shooting the guy who's
Why?
watering his
Why would they use
plants.
Chapman and like risk Chapman getting arrested? Then he can't do literally use a controller is not that important.
Use
Was it
someone that
Visafree's
the
idea?
household won't recognize.
Getting
Guys,
arrested
listen,
and
it's
still
just
being
Visser
in power
being
is a
crazy and
JoJo
stupid
reference.
again, okay?
I believe that.
All
Anyway,
plot holes can be covered by this one simple trick.
I thought it was a sweet scene when Jake phased it and he's like, "Oh, hi, Chapman," and then
Yeah, that was cute.
it was a nice little imagining that it was real, and he was like, "Oh, hey, Chapman, how's it going?" I don't know. It was a sweet scene for some reason. I don't know.
Jake's
No,
dad
I
goes
thought
in the
the
house.
scene was cute.
Tom, you've told me that sharing was cool, but this Chapman guy from the sharing was like just
Literally
driving
just
by
tried
with
to
a
kill
gun.
him, yeah.
Like,
kinda weird.
And then he looks in the window, and Tom looks really angry about it. His eyes burned with rage that his dad didn't die.
what if Tom just starts getting buys progressively more and more items from a Hot Topic as this book progresses?
That'd be beautiful.
Every time he looks angry, he has another streak of
Yeah,
dyed black hair.
That's his cover, okay? He's got a cover for why he's being angry, so he's just saying, "Oh, I hate the world."
It's not a phase, Dad.
And then Jake talks about how he's like, "Oh, and it's just so bad knowing that my actual brother was in his head watching this happen."
Again, yeah, great angle. Wish that could have been more of a thing in this book.
This would have been a perfect book to
What do
I
you
don't
mean
know.
more of a thing? They
somehow
said it. It's in the book.
No, throughout the book, there was yeah, continue. Actually, I'll talk about it later.
This would have been the perfect book to somehow get the Yeerk out of Tom's head for 2 seconds and have Tom have a little scene to himself or something. I don't know. Somehow make it happen.
That did happen in book 3.
If you really,
Literally,
yeah.
wasn't book
if you
1
really wanted the Yeerk to go back in, I don't know.
Wasn't
You could've just
book
taken
1
this and so much
the only
more
book where
creative.
Tom, outside of being a Yeerk, was a character?
Well,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
where he tried to punch Visser 3?
Yeah.
in the Yeerk pool or something.
Yeah.
That might have been
Since
book 1,
then, I don't think
remember.
Tom has been a character. At least
Right.
in book
What?
6.
I mean, that makes sense because they can't get the Yeerk out of his head.
Well,
We're not going to the Yeerk
but Chapman
pools.
has had his moments. I don't know. They do it sometimes. They should do it again. At least in book, or do something where they I don't know.
Oh yeah, hang on, wasn't there a book?
Listen.
Yeah, in book 2, didn't
They get Tom, the Yeerk dies, or maybe I don't know. The Yeerk tries to crawl out and escape, and then the controllers come back and get it. I don't know. They could have come up with something.
I forgot about that. Wasn't there a scene in book 2 where Chapman was like, "Please let me talk to him
Yeah,
in person,"
Chapman
and then
overpowered his Yeerk.
the Yeerk gives control. I
Yeah.
don't remember doing that since then. That's
That was
weird.
epic. Well, I feel like they just did that in something else.
I read an
Maybe.
Animorphs
That was a cool
fanfiction
scene.
the other week that tried to explain
Book 2.
why Chapman couldn't move his body despite, being in the Yeerk pool every 3 days. And it was some controllers, and it was from the perspective of a controller. And he was like, yeah, when I'm in the cage, I'm told to move my arms around. I'm told to move my arms and legs around to make sure I don't forget how to move. But a lot of people are too depressed and just sit there, so they don't remember how to move. So, I mean, sure, that makes sense. I
Yeah,
guess.
but most people are still trying to fight the Horphagia when they're pulled out too. I don't know. Maybe Chapman isn't.
I mean, Chapman's not trying to get free because he knows if he gets free, his
that's
daughter
true
goes.
because he's the guy. He's the one watching TV because he made that deal with his Yeerk.
Yeah,
So, all right, I guess I can believe it.
man, I love how you got. I can't believe I didn't notice how stupid the ending was with the chi and.
You didn't notice that until we started.
I didn't
yelling
notice
about
the wait. Why are the chi saving the Yeerk?
I
How
guess
far
it's
does your
violence.
anti-violence thing
Because
go? You can make a lot
it.
of
The
funny.
status quo must be worshipped at all costs.
I feel like you could do some funny things with the chi.
By the
Chi
way,
could be
Hey, you know why this
the
book is
chi
worse
could
than
be-
the last book? At least the last book said Visser One now knows that they're humans. This book had nothing like
okay,
that.
see, I
Chi
don't
could be
mind there
Redstone
being
in
no
Minecraft or
change.
something, where it's you could put the chi
Is it
in a
Redstone?
planet, and then you were like, "Hey, chi, there's another planet where there's some guy dying, and then, like, do they have to construct a spaceship? Do they have to develop faster than light travel now to, like, save the guy? Are they required to devote all of their resources to that?
You just Isaac Asimoving this.
Okay, why are the Chee allowed to give the Animorphs intel, like, knowing that the Animorphs may, like, go kill Yeerk, but they can't, like, drop off Tom, like, in a shed that the Animorphs, like, chill out
And the
in for, like, 3
Animorphs,
days.
like,
And the
the Chee
Animorphs
don't
do
even have
it.
to be the ones holding him.
Yeah.
They can just drop him
Why
off.
are the Chee insisting on saving him?
The Animorphs
Since when
are
is that
already
a
there.
mechanic? You know? They don't insist on saving the controllers that the Animorphs are planning to kill.
Mechanic is the right word, 'cause they're robots.
Yeah.
So it's like programming.
And they like, can the Chee be like, just like, push Tom out of their ship and be like, whoops, that was gravity that killed them, not us. It was a mistake.
There was a part where Tobias was like, guys, we have to stop this, because if Jake's dad is a controller, then Tom has 2 controllers, or then Jake has 2 controllers in his family, and that'd be really bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you guys don't know for sure that like Cassie's parents aren't controllers.
Yeah, but
like,
Tom is important, I guess. So
I guess.
presumably whoever Jake's dad would also be important.
If all of Jake's family was controllers, he could just freaking like not hang out with them anymore. I guess that'd be
Wait, what?
sussy, I guess.
Yeah.
You can't just not hang out with your family.
Unless you're
By the way,
Tobias.
he's going through a phase.
Yeah,
Kids do
right. He
that.
already has to be extra careful.
There was like a really weird scene
And-
here where Tobias talks about his family for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Rachel's like, your family didn't deserve
By the way, I think what Tobias said
Yeah.
makes sense, by the way. I'm just taking my thoughts.
You know, maybe I'm not getting it, but why didn't Tom just tell your father he's not going, and that's the end of it, Tobias interrupted. I looked at him. So did the rest of us. What? He asked, sounding defensive. I used to do that whenever one of my aunts or uncles wanted me to go somewhere I didn't want to. They never made me go. He was quiet a moment, then abashed, he said, Oh, duh, they didn't care what I did. Your relatives are jerks and they didn't deserve you, Rachel snapped.
This is a perfect example of this author just copying and pasting character moments from other books and just slapping them in.
When did that happen in a different book? When did Tobias say that in a different book?
I mean,
That
they were
his
like,
parents didn't care about him?
we just
Or
remember
his
that
aunts and
Tobias'
uncles?
parents...
yeah, book 1?
I don't know if this, like, makes sense. I don't remember Tobias having multiple aunts and uncles. I reread...
Wait, did he say aunts and uncles?
Yes,
That's
aunts
funny.
or uncles. I reread the passage in the first book, and it said that Tobias has an aunt and uncle who can't stand each other and pass them between him. I feel like that implies that the aunt and uncle are divorced and were married, but I guess they could be brother and sister, and therefore he has other aunts and uncles by them being married to people. But like that, I feel like that's not what the first
Well,
book
you
was
see,
implying.
Tobias has been a hawk for so long that he forgot how many aunts he...
He
I don't
forgot
believe
how
that.
he looks
I don't believe
like.
that.
He doesn't remember what color his eyes are.
What I think the book should do next is have Jake, like, kind of do the thing that his evil version of himself did in the recent Megamorphs book, where he's like, I'm the leader of this group, you have to bow down to what I say, and kind of start weaponizing that as, like, a response to his trauma over not feeling that he's adequate enough to be their leader, which is something that happens, like, once in this book, but hasn't been developed at all. So I guess that's my hope for the next book. Probably will be disappointed again, but I think that's a cool direction for his character to go.
I don't think I have any more notes.
I'm looking through. I don't think I'd have any more, but I'm making sure. Oh, the rest of
There's-
them I want to
Melissa came back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was tied up and like duct taped in a cellar. That was weird.
Well, yeah, but she's back.
She is back.
I've been waiting for Melissa to come back since book 2.
I was hoping they would like comfort
Yeah,
Melissa a
and
bit
her-
more, like in book 2, but no, they
And
just
her presence
kidnapped
was
her.
disappointing. She was a prop. They had a weird emotional moment with her screaming for her parents. The exact thing she was doing in book 2. Huh, crazy.
Oh yeah, about the cat thing, right?
Yeah. Daddy, I'm crying. I'm
Melissa-
sorry, I'm just put off by the fact that she calls her parents daddy and mommy.
Melissa-
I know you guys said that was normal before, but she
Melissa's
comes off as
written-
like a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
in this
Melissa's
book.
Yeah, okay,
written as a
I
much
forgot-
younger
okay,
person than she
There were
actually
so
is.
many parts in this book where I forgot that she was like a middle schooler. I was thinking she was like 6 years old throughout the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah,
That's how
it
it's like
was
treated
weird.
her. Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, some middle schoolers might, it's not like...
I don't think it was even just that. I think
it's not like
everything,
super
everything
unrealistic
that
or
was
anything,
written
but
in
it
it
is
was like
weird. It
that.
is a little weird that she was like exclusively written like a 6-year-old in this.
Yeah.
Not saying that like all middle schoolers act like adults or anything at all, but like it's weird that she didn't do anything that a 6-year-old wouldn't do in this
And
book.
then Jake's like, "Oh, we traumatized her. That was a bad idea." And it's like,
I mean-
yeah, why did you do that, guys? That was weird.
Well, they can have her know that her parents are...
Wasn't there stuff they could have done other
Also,
than...
they like freaking
Didn't they
destroyed her
say
house.
we're doing this as a mercy? Like, didn't they act like they were doing her a favor? Like, she can't see what
She
we're
can't
about to
see
do.
what we're
It's
about
going
to
to be
do
too
to her
traumatizing.
parents.
Let's tie her up in the bushes instead, and then when she gets back, her dad is gone.
Yeah, that's weird. That's not what good guys do. Why are you kidnapping people? Animorphs, you not... You know, Jake? Maybe this is part of what I mean by Jake's decision-making in this book is bad compared to book 11. He's doing stuff like this. It was weird.
There's a little bit of a theme in this book about, like, Jake as a human versus Jake as the Animorph. Because there's, like, a part where he's, like, he just morphed to Falcon, and he, like, stands on the windowsill, and he's about to go fly off, and he's like, oh, it's a 2-story drop. It's weird that still, it still feels like I'm a human jumping out of the window, which is bad, and, like, I'm scared of heights. But I am a Falcon, so it's fine. And then there's another part where after Tom gets, like, leg broken in the water, Jake, like, runs to the water's edge, and it says, my reflection in the moonlit ripples was human. So there's, like, an intentional, like, running theme here about, like, Jake is a human, and that's what's causing him to care about his family and kind of lose his cool. But then there's also, like, the Jake is the Animorph, which is the guy that can jump out of a second-story window and morph a tiger with the intention of killing his brother.
Hey, Jake's kind of a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Kind of retreading the same ground that
Yeah,
Marco has.
you know,
but,
just kind of like the theme of this author, which is like, it's just some like, they reference it and they don't do much with it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I'd point it out since it did appear multiple times in this book, so.
Mm-hmm.
I think any time they retread the same ground, but they do it in ways that I prefer, I'm like, yeah, that satisfies me.
I guess I already liked the way they did it before. I mean, I didn't have any complaints.
Hello, is Melissa
going
here?
into this book.
Here?
Yes, I was just going to talk about the scene, because this is another thing that I think is dumb.
I am a
Why
friend
did they
of-
have the weird
Why
alien
didn't they
kid
just
doing this?
grab
For
Chapman?
funny action, you guys love funny
No,
action.
no, I'm saying- Okay.
I wrote down this quote so that I could put a smiley face on it for the record before these two start negative Nancying it.
I was positive parrying it.
Read your quote. What's the full quote you have?
Hello, is Melissa here? Here. I am a friend of Melissa. I have come here to speak to her regarding a class assignment. Class, Axe said brightly, more or less following the script we'd worked out. Chapman peered at Axe and frowned. Sighed. Wait here, I'll get her. Good, Axe said. She is my close friend and also classmate, and thus this is a perfectly normal thing for me to do. Smiles. No, the reason he had him do it was because he was the one who could distort his morph to look like not
Yeah,
himself.
that's also cool where, like...
Is that what happened?
Yeah, they said he morphed partially to Andalite.
I
I don't know how the thing I don't forget what it was called. Remember how his morph is a blend of everybody else's
Yeah,
morphs?
they never played around with that.
It's weird
Did
how
you just do that with other people?
Apparently his hair is darker when he's closer to being an Andalite than normal.
and his nose is shorter or something.
Yeah.
And they
That makes sense. He has no nose.
yeah, and it's weird that like I don't forget what it's called, like a Sario technique or something like they cut some word for it, and now it's bothering me that I can't remember. But it's weird that like apparently he can't just do a remix of it and make him look different, a different mix of the four Animorphs.
Yeah.
Weird.
I
But
didn't think about that.
Well,
I guess maybe
think
you'll have to acquire them again if you want to do that. Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But-
He acquired them all at once, and that's like the set.
Yeah, the reason they had him do that was so that he could partially morph back to Andalite to squish his face. Although, well, I guess Chapman knows his human morph much less well than any of the other Animorphs because he doesn't like regularly go to school.
Well, what I was thinking...
But Tobias could have done this. Well.
What I was just thinking is it's like,
It works, whatever.
like, okay, I guess I didn't realize it was protecting his morph, but I was like, why did they have Axe do this? Like, they know that presumably the Andalite bandits have human morphs, and if he's saying like, oh yes, this is a normal human thing to do, that's pretty sussy, Axe.
It is sussy,
I don't know.
but it's funny,
Yeah,
okay? I
you're
forgive
right.
it.
Yeah.
My only note left is like about the ending.
I have a note that says rhinos can take multiple Dracon beam shots.
So
Wait, what?
Jake gets shot in the brain with a Dracon beam, which causes him to go crazy.
There's a part where he says the rhino was dying, and then he's just like, yeah, but whatever.
The connection between brain and body were fraying.
But then it doesn't come up again, I think.
Well, he almost kills Chapman because he gets so angry and he just like kind
That
of
just
forgets.
seems like normal Jake stuff for this book, to be fair.
Wait, they did pour water on Chapman's face.
Yeah, and then
Huh?
Chapman swears.
They did waterboard him.
Are you surprised by people swearing? This happens in
People
like
never
every
swear in
book.
Animorphs.
What does he say?
It says he cursed.
Stuart,
Oh my
in
gosh,
every
Stuart.
book they're like, oh,
No,
he said a word I won't
Somebody
repeat.
literally
Yeah, but
said
this
the
time-
N-word in Megamorphs 3.
No, they said, oh, he said a word I won't repeat, but this time he actually swears. Like, there's no innuendo.
Sir,
he
you
just
were
curses.
trolling us.
Do you think that when he says a word, he
If
won't
someone
repeat
says he
the
cursed, that
the
could mean
word
anything.
is like
Yeah.
stupid?
No, he cursed. He said a curse word.
What is the wording?
He sputtered and cursed.
That could mean anything. Curse, frick counts as like a curse word.
I don't
But-
care what he said. I'm
You know-
sure people have said, like, F-U-C-K and Animorphs.
You know when the-
before.
Yeah, no, but every time they use an innuendo, like, oh, he
This
said a
isn't
word I
curse.
won't
Saying he
repeat.
cursed
Yeah,
is
what
an innuendo,
I
Stuart.
said
not.
that somebody
No, it's
cursed
saying
and used
flat
the
out
word
cursed.
cursed in this series before, Stuart.
I
You're
think
crazy if you think this is some kind of breakthrough.
I think when I
In
was
the
a
in the
kid-
previous book, didn't Moko like pretend to say ass in the narration? He was like, "Oh, it was a pain in the ... and the sentence ended."
Yeah, but it didn't say he cursed.
What does that mean? That's
think-
the same thing.
I think when I was a kid and I read the sentence, he
Moko
cursed-
muttered a curse. Book 19. Oh, let me
What?
search curse in freaking book 13. I cursed myself. That doesn't count. She helped curse me. That doesn't count. Moko muttered a curse.
Why is Marco cursing?
Because he's
Why would
Moko.
Marco
Crazy.
curse? I don't believe it. Okay, I think when I was
You know
a
what?
kid,
I refuse to believe. My brain is just gonna block out the fact that Marco cursed. Okay, I'm liking this book a lot more now. Yeah.
whoa, Chapman cursed? What? When I was a kid and
See,
I
if
read
you just don't believe that things happen, then you can be surprised when
and
they
I
do
read
happen
like
later.
character cursed, I think wait, what?
You say you just forget that things happen. You can be surprised about them later.
Yes, then everything will feel new. That's how you enjoy Animorphs.
I like how Axe is like all warrior in this book.
Can I finish my sentence?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think
Bianca.
when I was a
Ignore
k-
him.
I think
He's
when-
trolling.
I think when I was a kid
He's not.
okay, nobody's gonna let me finish this sentence.
Go.
I think when I was a kid and I read like character cursed, I like imagined them being like, oh, I have nuked and tow a frog, you like
Wait, what did you say? You turn him into a
Like
frog?
saying a curse.
like saying a hex, like I
Okay,
curse
yeah.
you for all eternity. Like, I think I imagined characters saying that. I just assumed that was like a thing people did.
Yes, Joe. Maybe that's what he was doing.
this
That
is
seems
scary.
less. That seems less clear that he was saying a swear word than the other things. How is that less innuendic? I don't know
No,
if that's a
because it
word.
actually says that he
Dick.
said a
It
curse.
says he cursed. That doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it does. That's what curse means.
I'm being told by a producer that we're being too loud because it's 2 a.m. He sputtered and cursed. That could literally mean just like, you idiots, I could curse you guys.
That people don't say that. People, when someone curses, it's like saying the F word.
No, it's not. You're wrong here.
Okay.
I like.
I have a
okay.
very sad. I'm reading the Wikia, the Animorphs wiki page for this book, and I have a very sad note, according to the wiki, about Axe's thing there that he said, which isn't a spoiler.
What?
Okay.
This marks the last time where Axe speaks with multiple mouth sounds while in human morph.
What does that mean?
For the entire series?
Apparently.
What do you mean multiple mouths?
That's
He
a
doesn't
spo-
talk
Be
anymore?
natural, what the heck? He doesn't do that?
I don't remember that being a thing, but according to this wiki page, so it may or may not be true, but according to this, he doesn't play with mouth sounds after this book while in human morph.
So basically, the Ghost Riders all suck.
I'm gonna be looking
Maybe.
for that.
And also,
Or this
That would
might
be
not,
during the
or this
surface
might not
book.
be true.
It's not true.
Well, it's character development. Listen, the Animorphs have all been getting less playful as time
it's not
goes
like he
on.
learned not to do it in this book or anything.
Well,
No,
he's
yeah.
just gradually been doing it a lot less
That's really
over the
That is
course, which
true,
is
actually,
realistic.
We had to make Chapman think he was being interrogated by an Analyte warrior. We had to make him think he was being tortured. Moments earlier I would have killed him. Even now I felt no pity for him. But that didn't change the fact we were trying to terrify another living sentient creature. If you're the kind of person who gets off on that, you need help. I was asking a lot of Axe, too much, but he was determined to play the role. And it's like, I don't know, Jake. I don't know if it's good just because you're like, oh, this is bad that we're doing this. Like,
Yeah, you kind of lampshading it.
I was like, oh, okay, you're just playing the role. If you actually want to torture people, then you need help. This is sarcastic, is what I wrote in my notes. Because it's still kind of weird.
Here's something cool in that chapter. Axe feels really guilty, and then he forces Jake to listen to what he's saying to
That was
Chapman.
cool, yeah. He's like thought speaking, and instead of thought speaking directly to Chapman, Axe is like thought speaking his threats to like public, That's the thing.
Well,
Yeah.
to Jake. I hope just to Jake, because otherwise the Yeerks were like, where's dang Chapman?
That's a good point.
Yeerk, you will die of conjoinal starvation. I am an Andalite. I bet your friends will not find you here in this house across the street.
That was a cool moment. Thanks for pointing that out, sir.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, I can't think of a previous time where we've actually seen Axe, like, be mad at Jake. Usually, like, it's the other way around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, moments like that, it was an interesting thing in this book.
Jake wants to be petted and pampered and played with by Rachel.
Yeah, I
What?
noticed that.
Yeah.
That was weird.
So Homer's
That
going
had
over
nothing
to
to do with the
Rachel's
book.
house.
Oh, wasn't someone complaining about Homer hasn't been in a book in a while?
Yeah, see, this
Probably
book had
so.
brings back everyone.
All the
It brings
hits.
back funny acts, it brings back Homer, it
everyone
brings
is
back
here.
what's
That's
her
the
name.
motto of this book.
The gang's all here.
Chapman's here. Homer's here.
And no visit
Chapman-
3. Was
No,
visit
Chapman
dude.
wields a
When
gun.
is dude gonna come back?
That's Tobias's cat. It's
I
probably
know.
neglected by his, like, uncle.
It's the joke.
Oh. Wait, is dude actually dead, do you think?
I read an
Dude's probably
Animorphs.
feral.
I read an Animorphs Warrior Cats crossover fiction one
About
shot the
Dude?
other day. Well, kind of. It was like explaining some character. I guess spoilers for Warrior Cats probably, but it was explaining like the death of some character called Igwoods, and it was like a nicer ending for Igwoods. And it was like 3 paragraphs long. And it was like Igwoods got snatched up by a hawk. Then she heard a weird thought speak noise that was like, "Oh, you remind me of Dude. I think I'll let you go." And then he dropped her off on a windowsill, and the nice family.
This is
took her
like
in.
Batman
And she
versus
became a kitty
Superman.
pet. Okay.
Yeah. It was like a nicer, because I guess Igwoods is a character in Warrior Cats who gets eaten by a hawk.
I like how chapter 24 is just like an entire chapter where nothing happens except like
Oh, you
Tom
like
like
pulls
that?
out
that.
a dagger.
Tom-
Hey, look at the pacing in chapter 24. It's crazy.
What do you mean look at it? You mean skim through it?
No,
How many
look
pages
at
there
it.
are?
You can see it.
I would rather hear about
Oh,
it
yeah,
as this is a
what?
podcast format and we cannot show people the pacing.
It's
Don't tell
like
us
a bunch
what
of very
it is.
short sentences, each of which starts their own paragraph.
Oh, actually, I did write that down. Actually, was that when it was
I
like
didn't notice that.
was that
Like the
chapter
others had
24?
followed me to the cabin.
I didn't notice it either. I just noticed that nothing happened except Tom pulled out a dagger. And like how it took a whole chapter to say that.
Why do you like that? I think it is tense. I guess I like the part with Tom.
Oh yeah, and then like the Animorphs are like, yeah, if Tom hadn't taken your dad outside to do this,
This
Then
whole
we
plan
would've
would have
been
failed,
screwed.
yeah.
and we
Okay.
hadn't taken him to the pond specifically. I don't know why the Animorphs were morphed as pond creatures or as
It's-
aquatic creatures
because-
specifically.
Well, Cassie.
a whale
Yeah, and she like broke the
in the
dock.
pond. Do you know how much water that would displace?
Oh, I
The
didn't think
freaking
about that.
cabin would have been buried.
That's a good point. Huh.
so she could break the dock.
Just so she could break the dock.
Maybe she was holding it all in a big well mouth.
And they couldn't have done that as sharks.
That's not how
also,
displacement
by the
works,
way.
I
Mustard.
know. No, she drank all of it, so there wasn't
When Cassie turns into a whale and drinks a bunch of lake water and turns into a human, where does the lake water go?
I had this book of fun facts, and one of them was like,
If you
Yeah.
turn into a whale and drink a bunch of lake water and turn back into a human, you would pee for 16 hours straight.
yeah, that was it.
Okay, moving on.
No, it was like the average human drinks X gallons of water in their lifetime. And then there's like a little cartoon with this guy next to like a water cooler, and he was like really, really fat.
Oh, no.
And he was like, this guy heard that you drink an average of this many gallons of water in a lifetime, so he wants to get it all done in one day.
He wants to get it over with.
He's like, I gotta drink more
I
water.
hate drinking water. I just want to get it over with.
That was a funny book.
Okay, one moment I also did like at the end was when Jake rescues Tom. I'm gonna read this. I looked down at Tom and said his head was a killer. He'd almost killed my father. But what I saw, the eyes I looked into, those belonged to my big brother. I
Yeah.
settled into the bed next to him. His face was white and tight with shock, his eyes filled with dark agony. His teeth were chattering and tears leaked down into his hair. Get out of here and leave me alone. No, I said, moving closer. I don't think so.
Yeah, there's just, like, I thought it was not neat, kind of weird and neat that Tom thought to be in character a little bit for that part. It's like distorting Tom's character.
So another
for
cool
some
moment
reasons.
with Tom that could have been built for, but wasn't.
Yeah,
Although,
yeah,
it
these
was cute.
tiny little
It was
nuggets.
nice that Jake got to comfort his brother who is inside the Yeerk head in that moment, at least. Because that's just what I really want from Jake and Tom, is Jake, like... Because it's so sad that, like, Jake and Tom don't have a good relationship, so Jake can't, like, be nice to Tom. Even when he knows that he's suffering. But it's nice that he
Yeah.
could be nice in that moment because of Tom being injured.
Jake and Tom are the names of the brothers in Avatar. Jake and Marco used to argue whether Sega was better than Nintendo. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so we're on a 2-book streak of Sega mentions. Hopefully it will continue to be a 30-book streak.
Oh yeah, because it hasn't been mentioned since Megamorphs 1.
We've had a bit of a dry
Before
spell.
that, yeah. I just want to read a sentence. I just want to read a sentence here. Now came the dancing portion. My father hopped on one foot, the foot I was on, while attempting to crush me with the other foot.
Yep.
Yeah, that
So
happens.
dancing was mentioned in this book.
It's mentioned in most books.
Ooh,
I've
Jake does the
noticed.
cockroach dance.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Jake does La Cucaracha.
I don't like.
The Animorphs series has too much dancing in it. That's why it's bad.
Can you
Jake's
explain?
dad complains about the amount of dancing in the Animorphs.
Jake's dad complains about the amount of dancing Jake does.
Please explain that. Be natural.
I was showing, like, this was, like, back in, like, I don't know, 2017 or so,
Back when
when
it was cool.
when Rick and Morty was good, you know, before Rick and Morty had made, like, 16 seasons.
Too many incest jokes.
Yeah,
Okay?
and I was, like, showing my parents Rick and Morty, because I really liked it, because I really liked the first 3 seasons, and, yeah. And then, like, I was, like, I got my parents through, like, the first season of it, and then, like, I was, like, we were watching, like, episode 2 of season 2, so the 12th episode overall, and then I was, like, Dad, do you want to watch it? Because he'd been watching it, and he was like, I just don't like Rick and Morty. And I was like, oh, why not? And he was like, there's too much dancing in it. About the 3rd time that Rick danced, I knew that the show wasn't very good.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he did say the
That
third.
was his exact
He
words.
did say the 3rd time that Rick danced.
I don't think you've told us that before.
I don't
like,
think I
Yeah.
said that, yeah.
Because I assumed that he was just making it up on the spot because he couldn't think of a reason.
He was.
to like it.
There's so much dancing in the first 2 episodes of season 2, though.
There's
You know, you
my
told me
dad
that,
was.
and then
I
I
had no idea that we had been watching Rick and Morty, and my dad had been taking an internal dancing count and getting angrier at each one. I had no idea. I thought maybe it was like the crass jokes, the swearing, which I know he didn't like, but no, the thing he brought up was the dance. This is a true story, by the way.
It is.
Gex.
What? Never
It's
mind.
not Gex related.
I have like 3 more notes.
I have no more notes. I'm done.
Okay, so my notes. Wait, I read the dancing thing already. I just wrote this book should not be right after the Marco's mom book.
My
'Cause
dad-
honestly,
my
if it
dad
wasn't
listening
right
to
after
this-
it,
Hold
I
on,
might
my
have
dad
rated
listening
it
to this
higher,
podcast. It's pretty good, but you've named too many episodes after dancing. That's my one note about this podcast.
Well, that has to be the title now.
What?
Jake's dad complains about the amount of dancing Jake does. It's thematically relevant.
It is. It's perfect.
Wait, how is that thematic?
Because Jake has danced in the titles of 3 episodes now.
Oh, you mean thematically to the podcast, not to the book.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. As I was saying, if this book was not right after the previous book, the Marco's mom book, I don't think I would have noticed that the plot was just stolen from that book. I don't know. Maybe I would. It shouldn't be right after it. Because that book...
Wait, there was pot in this book?
Plot.
Oh,
The plot.
okay. I
Plot?
seriously had no idea. I thought you were talking about like a plot.
Hey, if Puck was in this book, it would have been a thumbs up.
Plot at Olive Garden on r/plot.
Now, Batter, you don't like this book. But, like, just imagine if this book was actually Crash to Insanity, and you'll like it, okay?
Wait, I just rewrite it to the plot of Crash for Insanity. Oh my
And-
gosh, this book is perfect now.
Yeah,
Thank
star.
you, Stir.
There was a part where Jake was like, I'm done being a leader. And for a while I was wondering if that was going to be a permanent change. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't. But I was
What book do you
considering
think
it.
this is? Book 19?
No, because this book, I feel like in previous books, the Animorphs got mad at Rick's decisions, but they always kind of had like this opinion where it's like, Jake, you're the best leader. No one could be a leader like you. And in this book, I feel like they didn't have that opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they just had Marco be a good leader.
Yeah, and
So,
so I kind of
Marco's
like.
enlightened
I thought
now.
I was legitimately like, is Marco going to be the new leader? Because I could see that happening.
I mean, that would be kind of epic. That would be a big enough change for me to like actually like this.
Yeah,
book.
no, that didn't happen.
But that didn't happen.
So yeah, but it was. I do still think it was interesting that I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like in previous books, like in the end of the book, the Animorphs are always like, "Nah, Jake, man, you're the best leader. We can't have anyone but you be the leader." Because Jake doesn't want to be a leader. It's like was a recurring thing in previous books is that he just kind of picked him because it seemed right. And I feel like this book didn't even end with them going like, "Oh yeah, Jake, you like." It was just like, "No, Jake, you suck. We took care of this ourselves."
They took his choice away from him, and then
Yeah.
And it was Marco that organized everything.
Yeah,
him, so.
Jake gets
like Marco is becoming, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if it does go that
So
direction.
this continues in the next book, like mad respect.
So that regardless of what happens, I did think that was pretty interesting at least.
Do you?
Not the best thing it could have done with it, but it was a nice thing. What?
Oh, never mind. I just am done with my notes for the book itself.
Okay, because I have one more note.
Okay.
Which is because I think maybe I'm gonna read this out loud and realize I was reading this wrong. I was imagining how frantically the Yeerks were searching for Chapman. How scared and desperate Tom's Yeerk must be by now, knowing he was suddenly just priority number 2. Are you scared, Yeerk? I whispered into darkness. I thought about how I'd feel if my friends left me to the Yeerks to save someone more important. Not a good feeling. What about the real Tom inside? What was he thinking? So he's kind of sympathizing with the Yeerk here. Where he's
I forgot about that passage. That passage was good.
Yeah, I was surprised about it really. Where he's like, he's like sympathizing with the Yeerk in Tom's head a little bit. Where it's like, yeah, it would suck if because at this point Chapman is the priority in the book because he's kidnapped. So that was an interesting passage.
I like that. I wish because like the fact that Jake literally had a Yeerk in his head and had it starve could just shed so much light on the situation with Tom. Mm-hmm. That's why I still feel kind of disappointed. Is that he doesn't think about that at all. It doesn't seem like.
But yeah, like while I was reading this book, I was like, this is definitely not the book that Bader was excited about. Like I could tell that pretty early on. I think. But
there was no book 6.
No.
Okay, joke time.
No, hold on. Are you guys ready for the plot of the next book?
I don't know if I want to know.
No, as seen by the thing at the end of this book. That
again, I don't know if I do want to know.
You read it for this book, and then I kind of
I think I'd rather not.
Kind of
honestly,
me up more than I.
Wait, I know this next book. This is 32.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want them to have any expectation about it. I want them to read the book.
This is the Starfish book.
I want if I don't know if you've told everyone the plot of this book.
By the way, Be Natural told me the plot of this book.
Okay, she told me too.
Yes, he did. He spoiled it for me by saying one thing, and
was that last week?
Oops.
Yeah, I did say oops. I thought nobody said anything, so maybe.
Be Natural, you need to stop oopsing us. Anyway, I don't want to hear it. I want to read the book. I'm excited for it. I've been told the plot.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. I'm gonna read this book tonight. I'm so excited. I'm not actually gonna do that.
This book. The last book written by K.A. Applegate in the main series.
Oh, I forgot it was written by Applegate.
This book is not ghostwritten.
I'm so excited.
Just keep that in mind while reading it.
I'm excited too because Rachel hasn't had a very big role in the last few books either.
I guess I'll delete this.
We'll read it afterwards. I don't know.
I mean,
we're gonna sign out.
Reading it afterwards
falling asleep.
Mean much.
Yeah, without Catan keeping Stir's brain alive, he's just dying now.
I think that was a good episode.
This cover's amazing.
We can talk about the next episode.
We will.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, this cover is hideous.
I'm so excited.
Dave Manley, two whiffs in a row. I gotta say, I'm sorry. I like that.
This is great. This is the best cover today.
You're doing something a little bit different with these two.
No, this is the best.
I'm not a huge fan.
This one's iconic.
It's iconic. You gotta admit that.
This
Jake one was bland and also bad. This was bad in a good way.
This freaking head, dude.
This separation, oh my gosh.
Gotta keep them separated.
What do you think is separating?
One thing I forgot to mention earlier.
Be Natural, you've already spoiled the plot to him. He's gonna know what's separated. You can't ask him that.
I already know because you already spoiled it.
Yeah, so why are you asking what you think separated? We know what separates.
I said it by accident.
Stu doesn't know. He's gonna have a...
Yeah, he does.
Everyone knows!
Why
are we... Okay, well, I guess we won't spoil it for the listeners then. I don't know.
Right.
Why are we even...
Let me say the thing I was gonna say.
Please.
On this cover, I liked how the tagline matched the title.
Wait, what is it?
Because it's called The Conspiracy, and the tagline is... It's something about it being all in your head. I already closed the PDF.
I have it open. It says, when they say it's all in your head, believe it.
It's true. Because that's what people tell people who are believing conspiracies. It's all in your head. But also, a Yeerk is in your head, so it's really deep.
That is kind of cool, yeah.
It's really cool.
I like the color palette on this cover. It's like blue and teal and green. Okay, let's sign out now. Now that we're all calmed down.
Alright.
I had caffeine before this episode. Maybe that's why I was screaming so much. I drank it. I
You
drank
think the
a.
caffeine we had like six hours
No,
ago?
I drank literally right
Drink
before.
Dr. Pepper
Right before recording, I
Oh,
was
wow.
like, it's 11 p.m. Maybe I should drink some caffeine. I had a can of zero sugar Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream. I would personally recommend it. Be Natural hated it.
I like it. Okay.
That's 2 thumbs ups.
Alright, sign out.
Be Natural doesn't drink soda.
I'm
So
be natural.
I'm better.
I'm mustard.
I'm stirred.
I'll throw the joke book. I know what it is though. You guys watch the William podcast to do something like just talk.
What?
I really hope you can empathize with the way Miles Morales looks based on his expression in this picture.
It's because everyone knows. This is how I feel when I find out that I've spoiled the Starfish book to every single member of
I
this
can't
podcast.
believe you did destroy it too.
I don't know how!
Vamping is what I was thinking of.
I don't know. I don't remember this,
They
okay?
call him Vamp, not because he's an actual bisexual.
Oh,
Better. I'm curious. Have I spoiled anything else in the Animorphs
No, it's
series?
just well, yes, you have, because you explained to me the plot of several books
No, wait, hold on.
at the
Let
beginning.
me finish. Is there anything else in the Animorphs series of books we haven't read yet other than 32 that I've spoiled for you? And
Yes.
don't say specifically what, but yes or no?
Give you
He
a
said
hint?
yes. He
I
said
said
yes. He said yes.
Dang. Wow.
Who's there? No, wait. Knock knock.
Who's there?
See, the word knock knock is in big orange letters, so I skip it as if it's like a title. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Pig.
Pig who?
Pig out.
Pick your partners. It's time for the chemistry test. That's close, actually.
Pig out. Time for lunch.
That's not close. There was a part in this book where it was like, with Tobias, there was lots of rats in this place we were hiding, Jake, and Tobias was like, I liked it. And they're like, you gotta eat like a pig, that's why.
Is that
Yeah,
the
I was
joke?
just thinking about that too. That was in this book.
No, that's not the joke!
It's oddly relevant.
It's, pig up your papers and clear your desk.
What?
Like a pig your nose joke.
What do you mean, what?
Pick up your papers.
Yeah,
Pick them up.
and clean your desk.
Maybe this joke is just making me question all knock knock jokes forever, but this just seems particularly
Egregious.
what? Yeah,
Stupid.
what is this? What?
Like, pick up. You
I know
right?
that.
Okay.
I know what it's trying to
I don't
do.
know what you're confused by then.
I don't understand why is it a pig? Why is it a knock knock? Why is this a joke? What is
Knock
wrong
knock
with
jokes
this?
work well, at least in this book generally. And I mean, the ones I know like no, they always work like that. Yeah, it's like a pun.
Yeah.
It's like a word that sounds like another word.
Knock knock jokes are inherently bad. Let's just.
Well, yeah, no,
Very
the whole
terrible.
second half of this joke book sucks. I can't believe I how many.
Knock knock jokes are just a terrible.
Are we almost
form of
done here?
jokes.
Said how many are left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 more, and then we're done with this joke book.
Wow.
Have you read Warrior Cats?
No.
The Warrior
it's
Cats is
the,
like
it's the Animorphs of cat books.
it is the Animorphs. I read it at the
Except
same
that
time as
it's
Animorphs.
reverse.
The Animorphs of Cats books, except it's much less focused. It's much more just characters dying with various things. There's a lot more death, a lot more character death, a lot more because there's not really there's one main character and his 3 friends or whatever, but then there's 60 supporting cast members who come in and out of prominence, kind of like Game of Thrones, which I haven't watched, but this is the trope of Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
and it's these characters who will come in and out of prominence will die in gruesome ways all the time. So yeah, that's what Warrior Cats is. Also, the plot wise, I think it's a lot worse because there's not really the plot's just a template for kids to play act furry
Mhm.
role plays with.
Have I told you guys my introduction to Warrior Cats?
I don't know.
I was in first grade and I was in daycare, and this girl was like, "Yeah, let's play pretend," but You have to read a Warrior Cats book first.
That was literally my experience as well. Are you sure you didn't just hear my story and
No,
repeat?
that's
I
me.
never heard of Warrior Cats until I got
She
to
was like, you have to read a
college.
Warrior Cats book. But I
That
was
is
like,
insane to me.
so I
Those books
picked
were
one up and
everywhere
I
in
read
high
like 2
school.
pages and I don't want to
Actually,
read this.
probably high school, because I think they had some at my local public library.
But then it
Still,
turned out like no one played with her because no one cared about Warrior Cats, so she just let me play with her anyway.
That's sad.
When I was a kid, I had like a group of 4 friends, and we all are 3 friends, the 4 of us, and we were like, we always play dragons together because I like dragons. And then this freaking other girl, it was like 4th grade. This was also, and this other girl comes in, and my friend, I come into school and she's playing with my friends, and I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? Can I play? And she's like, no, you have to have read Warrior Cats to play. And we're playing cats, not dragons. Dragons are stupid. And then they all beat me up, but as cats, like they all were all on all 4s. They clawed me and pushed me away, and I was like, dang,
That
Warrior
is
Cats is
weird.
stupid.
That is weird.
Well, that's my experience with Warrior Cats.
But then you ended up reading the entire series.
Yeah, well, not the entire series. It's still going, I'm pretty sure. But I read 3 series of it. It's pretty. I got pretty annoyed with it. Much more annoyed with it than I ever did with Animorphs. Because the main character. I guess more spoilers for Warrior Cats. The main character of the first series is kind of interesting, but then at the end of the first series he becomes the leader, and then in the second series it follows other characters. And the main character of the first series is just this complete Gary Stu, the perfect guy, never does any wrong.
Is that a term? That's a fun term.
He's always correct, and all the other characters are always wrong, except for the main characters who know that he's correct. And it's just so annoying. He's the most annoying character ever, because he's just so epic and awesome and never did anything wrong. And I hated that as a kid.
Oh. Yeah.
I hate when they take interesting, somewhat flawed believably flawed characters, and then just turn them into complete perfect angels because of character development.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, because that's how it works. You
just become boring.
You just lose all your flaws as life goes on. You don't develop any new flaws or have any new challenges. You just solve everything by age 20, and then you're perfect for the rest of your life.
Well, that's what happened to me.
Okay. Yeah. Fair point.